Yo, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on? It's your man AC Star. I want to welcome you to the AC Star Morning Show. Yo, how everybody doing on this February 16th, 2021? It's your man AC Star. I would like to welcome you to the AC Star Morning Show here live on the AC Star Talk Radio Network. So, yo, what's going on, people, man? Let me first jump into this and talk about the weather. Yo, what's up with the weather outside? Oh, man. It's crazy out there. It's crazy out there.
Talking to people?
It's crazy out there, yo. It's real crazy, man. I want to give a big shout out to my man Tampa Supreme for coming through. Hey, yo, and anybody out there in the Texas area, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, I hope y'all staying safe. I hope y'all electric back on, y'all heat back on. I hope y'all babies is good. I hope y'all good. Because I know y'all not used to that kind of weather. I've been seeing some things that's saying that weather, some places, locations haven't seen that kind of weather in centuries, like 100 years, 105 years and things of that nature. You got wind chill warnings and things of that, weather that we get up here in Norfolk, they get up there in Minnesota, Illinois, that type of weather. So, yo, man, all you people down there and those southern states, man, down there in the Southwest, man, I hope everything is good for y'all people in the Southeast. We all getting it right now. I hope everything is working out for y'all, man, and y'all safe, and y'all can go out here and enjoy this, you know what I'm saying? Good morning, Mr. Nini. Salute to you, my beautiful friend. Salute to you. Yeah, I know y'all ain't used to that kind of cold, Nini. I know y'all ain't used to waking up. It's 18 degrees outside, and you gotta send Warren out there to warm the car up. You can't go out there and warm the car up. Yo, Triple OG, good morning to you, Triple OG. Peace, good morning. Everybody, please hit the like and share. But yeah, I just want everybody to be safe out there, man, because that weather ain't no joke. And if you're not used to that, those elements, they tricky, man. Driving and that stuff, I've seen a lot of horrific accidents down there in Texas and Dallas and Fort Worth, San Antonio, you know what I mean? So y'all be safe out there, man, in Houston. Y'all be safe out there in El Paso, wherever y'all at, Kansas City. And, yo, that weather going to be with y'all for a few days, man. Wow, 10 inches. See, this is the crazy part, right? Like last week and the week before last, we was getting all that weather. It was 18 inches of snow, snowing every other day. It was like we was in a snowball and just a snow globe, and somebody just shook it up. And it seemed like now y'all getting that weather. So I want y'all to be safe, man. It's crazy because it just rained here yesterday. We didn't get no snow. It just rained here yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that, Tampa. Yeah, I see Texas is shut down. I see a lot of locations is shut down, I guess because they're not used to this. I seen a weatherman say something. What's up, Warren? Hey, Warren, I hope you went out there and warmed that car for the Nini because I know it's cold down there, man. I hope you went out there and you took one for the team, man. You know what I'm saying? To warm the car for the team, man. Hope you went out there and was like, I got it, baby. I got it. Wow, Louisiana shut down too. See, y'all not used to that kind of weather, man. Y'all not used to that 5-degree, 10-degree weather. You know what I'm saying? And like us, that's what it's been the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's in a warm spell. You know what I'm saying? All right. He's like, you already. I know that's right, bro. I know that's right. But see, we in a warm spell. It's nice outside. It's like 40 degrees outside. That's tropical right now. You know what I mean? Because last week it was 5, 10, 15 degrees, right? But I want y'all to be safe out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I see it's going to be with y'all till the end of the weekend, man. And the only thing I can tell y'all, look at Tampa, talking about that 7 degrees in Tampa. Yeah, my best friend Tampa, he just left from here and flew back to Tampa. He going to put on Facebook this morning, back to the warm weather. I used to live in Tampa too, Tampa Supreme. I used to live in West Palm Sea. I worked on West Shore Boulevard at that Perkins over there. And at the Ramada, that Ramada on West Shore Boulevard. Yeah, I used to work over there. I used to live in Palmacia. Then I lived out. Well, first I lived out in the hood in Northeast by Busch Gardens. Then I, found me a nice big butt girl, and she lived out of Palmacia. Wow, y'all in the state of America. See, have y'all driven in snow before? Like Warren, Danini, people in this. Have y'all driven in light of snow before? Like, have y'all driven in snow, like 5, 6 inches of snow or anything like that? Like, I mean, are y'all used to this kind of weather where it's snow all crazy like this? She said, hell no. What's going on, Rallo? What's going on? No snow, no ice. Wow. So y'all not. Oh, so you live in North Tampa? Where you live at? Where you live at in North Tampa? Tampa Supreme. I used to live over there. Oh man, it's like the corner of Hillsboro, I think. Hillsborough or Hillsborough Highway or something like Hillsborough, and I can't remember that cross street. I can't remember that cross street. Okay, so when y'all went out of town, y'all had witnessed some snow and stuff. Okay, but not really in like, yeah, because they was saying like they was showing some pictures of how like Mardi Gras was empty, and it, even though it's not gonna be the same Mardi Gras with the floats and everything, it was like 18 degrees. Yeah, I know y'all ain't used to none of that shit. Well, check it out. That's what we get every year, right? Well, last couple of years it hasn't really been that cold up here. I can say that it's kind of been really nice. So I kind of feel for y'all right now because that shit's serious, man. That cold is serious. I tell people all the time. I remember when I was young and I used to be on the block. Man, I ain't give a fuck about no cold. I used to get me one of them little pints of Remy, put it in my back pocket, and I'd be out there all day. Man, it'd be freezing cold. I remember like the blizzards of like 96 and 95. Man, we was out there. I mean, it was snow everywhere. Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, sweet pea? Peace, my love. It was snow everywhere, y'all. We got like 27 inches of snow one day, like 5 more the next, like 10 more the next weekend. So the snow, the snow literally stayed around till like June, right? Like when kids was getting out of school, it was still parking lots with big ass mounds of snow, right? It was still hoods in June where you see little credits of snow because that's how much snow we had got that season. I mean, it was crazy. Like, it was so crazy. Like, crime. The cops wasn't even in the street. It was like this pandemic in a sense, but it only lasted a couple days where it was just no cops outside. It was just a free fall. We was hustling, hiding our drugs in the big ass snow mounds and shit. That shit was crazy. I know when my boys, when they watch this, they go like, yo, I remember that shit. Like, yeah, that shit was crazy. See, I like the heat, right? But I'm gonna tell y'all what turned me off on the heat. When I lived in Tampa. And I remember I walked from my apartment to the bus stop and I was dripping wet. I was like, all right, I can't do the Florida heat. So I could take this northeast heat because it get hot, but after a while that shit go away. Yeah, that shit go away. See, see my boys. Peace. What's going on, BR? What's going on, Bismillah? Nice to see you, sis. Thanks for coming through. See, I couldn't do the end. Like, I can't do that rock gut shit, man. Like, my boys are blue top aficionados, man. They love that blue top shit, but I can't. See, my mama drank cognac. So you drink what's in the house, right? Like when you learn how to drink, you drink what's in the house. Like, some houses had E&J whiskey and shit like that. My house had Hennessy. Like my mom drank Hennessy and she drank that nasty shit, that sherry shit. Like, oh, that shit was terrible. Like, oh, first time tasting that shit, I was like, I'll never drink that shit. That sherry shit was terrible. But that Hennessy, what's going on, Book for Moses? What's going on, bro? Thanks for coming through. But boy, when she started having that Hennessy because in the 80s and in the 80s, my mom, she was part of that, in crowd, right? So, they always had to have their house decorated with the modern decor. So she had the little wall unit and she had her little liquor bottles up there. Shit, man, that motherfucking Hennessy bottle, man, me and my brother used to pour the water back in that motherfucker. She started noticing that shit after a while. She took that shit out of there. Like, you niggas ain't about to water down my liquor because y'all want to sneak and be alcoholics and shit. And that's all I drink. Like, I had my Tanqueray days. I had my naughty head days when I was in the army. We used to get the Tropicana fruit punch thing. That's when that first came out. And we'd pour the naughty head in and shake it up and just drive all throughout Germany drunk as hell. A bunch of drunk ass Southerners and Northerners and shit drinking fucking naughty head, 19, 20 years old, drunk as hell. But as I got older and I got into the game, white liquor and light-skinned people don't go, right? Just like brown liquor and brown-skinned people don't go, white liquor and light-skinned people, that shit don't go. That shit don't match up with us. Like that shit give us what you call the Rams, right? Where the brown liquor had me on my shit, when I'm running my mouth, talking my game. That white liquor just had me somewhere else, and I don't fuck with that. Every time I drink white liquor, some madness always happens. I remember me and my boys drank some Tanqueray, pulled these bad bitches. We ended up fighting the whole hood that night because of them bitches in that Tanqueray. So I stay away from that. I lived in a city called Bitburg, Germany. It's in Western Germany. It's kind of like, I'm going to say the closest city to it is a place called Trier, which is a smaller city. But it's like centrally located by like the Benelux, like Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. We was maybe like half hour 45 minutes from the Luxembourg-German border. So it's in Western Germany, way Western Germany, right? It's what they call Rhine-Eifel, like if you were in the state Rhine-Eifel. Pretty beautiful place. I loved it. Kind of small, and I came from a small city, so it kind of fit me. But I love traveling to like I love traveling like Frankfurt, Wiesbaden, Hanau. Those places were beautiful. Pirmasens, Koblenz, Cologne. Yeah, all those people were beautiful. I never went to like Nazi bars, maybe like in Frankfurt or maybe like way out in Eastern Germany. Like I've been to Eastern Germany, but we was training, so I really didn't get to experience it. Like I've been to like where we went, damn, what the hell that shit called? It's like where everybody go and train, where we gotta go for like 2 weeks. Damn, it's way out fucking Western Germany. It's on the Polish border. I can't even remember the name of the damn city. Yeah. But yo, another thing I wanted to talk about today. I just watched the movie Judas and the Messiah, right? And I'm gonna say, like, I don't like watching movies like that. I don't like watching like the Judas and Messiah, the Nat Turner movie. I don't like watching those movies where black people, where they talk about black freedom fighters or they talk about our struggle during slavery, things of that nature. I don't really like watching those movies, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. And I'm gonna try to give y'all like a common analogy. I'm gonna try. She said, "Sit on your hands, Books. Books, what you cold? Why you hate cognac? Triple OG cognac, good man. Cognac is good for your soul, man. Cognac is good for your soul. That shit good for your soul. But the reason why I don't like watching those movies is because, and I'm gonna try to, the analogy I'm gonna use, I think a lot of you can relate to if you grew up in a black community, right? Those movies to me are like the perpetual good times. You know how like Good Times was like, it was always, we got always anticipated something good happened, but something bad always happened, right? Something terrible. So right when, James get a good job and JJ get a good job and Michael do this, something always happens. Keith come in and he get a career and he blow his knee and just, they can never get over the hump. That's why I never understood why the goddamn show name was Good Time. Because every time they had a good time, a goddamn bad time came. I have my friend, my Aries, formerly known as my brother, in the building. Thank you, brother, for coming in. Please don't bring your L's. Leave all your L's at the front door. To my friend, formerly known as Aries. Peace, my brother. Thank you for showing up, my brother. The war is still on. But anyway, so I don't like watching those movies because when I watch those movies, the things that resonate in me when I watch them is I'm almost, because I'm pro-black, folks, and this is not to say, because I've met a lot of people who aren't pro-black and y'all some good people, right? Like, so I don't necessarily want to subscribe my life to y'all. Like, if you found diversity or you found living in diverse communities and the things that you live your life, you found that to be appealing to you, then I've learned to be like, cool, live your life, do you, right? But just make sure you don't tell me not to be pro-black. But when I watch these movies, right, I always get this sense of dread, right? Like this sense of like, it's like, will we ever see the promised land, or will life ever be better for us? Like, because each movie just tells the same story in different time frames, right? And when I watched this movie, right, the one thing that I got out of this movie, I didn't get out of this movie that they were trying to stop our messiahs, right? They're trying to kill our messiahs. See, what I got from the movie was they're trying to live their culture, their civilization, right? When you get a chance, let's have that debate. Hey, yo, what's good, bro? Hey, bro, I ain't messing with you, bro. Had me up all early in the morning, man. You crazy as hell, man. Had me up 4 o'clock in the morning cracking with you, man. But I got you, bro. We're going to set that up. I'm going to drop my email later, bro, and then you go ahead and send me an email, and we'll go ahead and set that up for later this week. Lowcast, what's good, bro? Thanks for coming through, Lowcast. I appreciate the pull-up, Lowcast. No doubt. I really appreciate the pull-up. But, so if you've never seen the movie, I don't know who's seen the movie. Oh, Warren and Danina, y'all seen the movie, right? and it was a really good movie. And Warren, thank you for pushing me to see it, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't gonna watch it. I don't like watching movies like that. I don't. My inner revolutionary just be burning up. It be feeling like my life was a waste because I didn't get to live like that, right? I didn't get to sacrifice myself on the altar for my people. So I always feel like I didn't live a full life. But I would like to thank you for prompting me to go see the movie, because I wasn't gonna see it, but I was like, you know what? Let me go check it out. The brother said it's a good movie. And I've been seeing, I watched New Possibilities. You know what I'm saying? He was talking about it. I just seen an article. Somebody else was talking about it. So I was like, yo, let me check it out. And it was a very well done movie. And big shout outs to LeBron James. Big shout outs to the producers of the movie. But this is one caveat. Hollywood, filmmakers, those 4 black people that played in Get Out, those 4 brothers, like, okay, they shouldn't represent all black movies. Like, give us some other. I know it's some new talent, but those brothers from Get Out should not be the cosplay, the bit players for all the great black movies from here on out. And I see that that's the trend. Now that my man is dead, you know what I mean? Now that Chadwick Boseman is no longer here, they're trying to, this Daniel Kouai, I don't know how to say his name, Daniel Kouai. He's becoming like, because he's a great actor. He did a great job. I can't say they didn't do a great job. Lakeith Stanfield did a great job. All right, listen. Anybody got a what's the name? Anybody got a wrench? We're gonna get him out of here. We're gonna get, because that ain't Old Breed. Old Breed don't talk like that. So we're gonna get him out of here. What's going on, G24Ds? What's going on? So, Core M, what's good, my brother? Peace. Thanks for coming through. So, it was great. The movie was directed very well. The acting was very well, right? And a lot of the storylines and a lot of the things that happen in the movie is a lot of things that we could talk about in this space, because a lot of us are in spaces, or a lot of us be around people that talk about the male-female relationship, right? This weekend's dating coach bonanza and scalping and all the madness that went on with dating coaches this weekend, and how the Revenge of the Nerds came after the dating coaches for bad results. And, we've changed, what we're looking for in a dating coach. But that movie had a lot of our issues in it, a lot of things that we deal with and we go through in our lives, and that movie kind of played out, and that's where we at now. But the deepness of the movie to me was when J. Edgar Hoover was in the office with the guy's boss, right, with the Chicago FBI agent who set all this up, when they were talking with his boss. And he gave, like, I don't know if y'all ever seen a movie, A Time to Kill. I'm gonna slow down a little bit. There was a scene in A Time to Kill, right, where Matthew McConaughey had told the people to close their eyes and think about if that was your wife, if the black girl who was brutally hurt and maimed, Samuel L. Jackson's daughter that was maimed in Time to Kill, and he told him to close his eyes, right? And he was like, and he told the narrative, and then he told the people, now picture that girl as a white girl. And when she said that, everybody was like, oh shit, like, and they started crying, and their reaction to it was different. Like, they could see that happening to a black girl because just throw us away, right? But when you changed the body and you made it a white girl, it was a different reaction. Like, oh my God, right? And if you watch that movie, everybody reacted different. The jury reacted different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody reacted different, right? So it was a scene in this movie where Hoover was talking to the agent that was in charge of trying to get Fred Hampton. And what Hoover was trying to relate to this young man is, see, he said, you killed in Korea, right? And the young man was like, yeah, he went to war. Now this, and when I finish this, I'm gonna have a point back to some things I was talking about on RBR's channel yesterday about the flag with my man DOD. And he said to him, you fought in Korea. And he was like, yeah, I fought in Korea. Yeah, I killed in Korea, blase Skippy. He was like, yeah, you killed for survival. He told him it wasn't about that flag. It wasn't about patriotism. You killed for survival, right? And then he asked him, he said, yo, how your kids doing, right? But he made sure that he honed in on his daughter. And he said to him, you don't want your daughter to what if your daughter brought a black man home? And he like, sir, the white dude didn't want to answer the question. And he was like, sir, Like, why are you inquiring about my daughter? Right? And what Hoover was trying to relate to him is, listen, this whiteness, this lifestyle, this civilization that we built, right? If we let these black people get some self-esteem, we let these black people get some belief in themselves, and we don't block them from becoming doctors and lawyers en masse, and we don't keep that door tight, right? And we don't keep these ghettos infiltrated with drugs and poison as we go and conquer and become and use our imperial means to do it, our way of life is going to be disrupted. It's going to end. So what he was trying to relate to him was, it's your job to stop Fred Hampton from inspiring people to be great, from him taking care of his people and giving them a full stomach and knowing that their kids is taken care of so they can focus on other things. We need you to get him out of here. Because if you don't get him out of here, there's going to be productive black people. And those productive black people are going to be, they're going to be mates to our children. They're going to be available mates. They're going to be options to our children. And we can't have that. Because if you let that black man in our household, this whiteness is going to be diluted and it's going to be over. See, when we think about these things, we always think that they're doing it because they want to kill our Messiah. They don't necessarily want to kill our Messiah. Killing our Messiah is the light work. They want to kill our humanity. They want to kill our ambitions. Because they know if we become ambition and we get some equity on this playing field, we'll become an option to their kids. And their whiteness will no longer be prevailing. Their way of life, I mean, he said it to him. He said, yo, this way of life we built, it'll be over. And it's my job to make sure that Fred Hampton don't do it. See, that was the whole deepness of it, right? And then you can reference that back to where we at now. Donald Trump is the modern day conversation, right? He was the modern day attempt to secure that same thought process that Hoover had in that office with that agent that was in charge of making sure that Fred Hampton got took out. See, the agent whole thing was, I'm just doing my job. Can we lock him up? If we lock him up, then we do good, boss? No, son. When they locked up, they become heroes. They become martyrs. So we got to get him out of here. That was the deepness of the movie to me, right? Because, see, that showed me that when we talk about quote to Intel Pro and we talk about the nefarious actions of our investigative departments in our police, federal police agencies and our federal spy agencies. See, when we talk about these things, we look at these things in a vacuum to say, well, they just wanted to take out our head because they didn't want our head to lead us, right? What's going on? I'm going to drop the link in a few, Psycho. You know, I definitely want you to come up. Anybody else who want to come up and talk, you know what I mean? Y'all come up and talk. Warren, I want you to come up and talk about it too, bro, if you got some time. You know what I mean? Because you were the one that kind of was the catalyst to me watching this movie, because I don't really like watching these movies, y'all. I don't, like, to me, they're good times on steroids. I mean, it shows how they deconstructed us, and now we're in a place where we're at. Like, they showed how they created this space where we at now, where we see the gender wars and we see the beef and we see the dating shit and we see all that shit, because they took the ability for us to feel good about us. And that's what they did. They killed the people who make us feel good about us, who make us wake up every day, irregardless of what we go through with them, and make us feel good about being black. See, that's what they were trying to take away. They weren't trying to take away our leaders per se. They were trying to take away that feel good, that we can feel good about us. I mean, the universe sent a 21-year-old man with all this knowledge and information and gave him the organizational skills and the leadership skills of the greatest generals in the world. Fred Hampton talked like a Hannibal, right? He talked like a Mansa Musa. Like, his whole thing was, we got to coalesce everything. We got to deal with nutrition. We got to deal with health. We got to deal with politics. We got to deal with law. We got to deal with organization. We got to deal with finances. Imagine that. A 21-year-old guy from Chicago talking about credit unions. How valuable are credit unions now? People get their lives together through credit unions. And he was talking about credit unions back then as a 21-year-old revolutionary. See, that's what they took out. They took out a person who will give us the tools and not tell us to show up every week and tell us how to bake the cake and like the eggs, this, that, and third. He would have taught us how to go out into the world and be successful through revolutionary means. His wisdom, his foresight. I mean, the name of the movie is so poignant and so on point because Judas and the Messiah, right? But if you really dig deeper into it, right, my man wasn't a Judas and Fred Hampton wasn't a Messiah. See, that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted us to think of our leaders as messiahs instead of them, our leaders being teachers, being examples, being instructors. Now, I don't agree with some of the things that happen in the movie, but what I do understand is that we got to pay attention to the people that we have around us, because now you see it's a proliferation of people allowing for white faces to be in the spaces, right? What's the motivation? What's the motivation of the black people who introduce these white people into the spaces? Why do these white people want to be in these black spaces? Like when the agent was at the rally and he was looking at the guy, the Bill guy, Wild Bill, and he was clapping, and as they went on, like how he blended in, right? Nobody in there would have thought that white guy was nefarious or he did something wrong. No, he didn't get killed. That's not true, D. He didn't get killed because he was exposing gun laws and the mafia. No, he got killed, right? See, this is the thing, D. If you watch the movie, you'll see why he got killed. Hoover said why he got killed. I mean, well, he was a Judas. He was a Judas, right? But for me, a Judas is a person who started off with the crew and turned on them. Not somebody that infiltrated the crew and turned on. I don't call him a Judas. I call a person a Judas, somebody that's been with me for day one, and then shit get hectic, and they in the room singing to the man. Like, to me, that's a Judas. A Judas is more connected to you. That dude was just an informant. He was a CI. And if they would have went with their gut more than what they did, they would have been out of him, and they would have been got him up out of there. They would have been got him up out of there because they would have went with their gut and seen that he was a sucker, because old boy was a sucker. Right? But back to what I was saying to you, D, it wasn't so much about him showing them the loopholes in gun laws. It was about him showing that with a little bit of space and a little bit of movement, we can begin to transform ourselves, and not under the guise of fear, right? Because back then, a lot of black people all right, let's go to the scene. If you've seen the movie, let's go to the scene where the guy showed up, the nerd dude who showed up at the janitor and was like, yo, what happened to my boy? What they do with my boy? And he didn't want to tell him because the janitor was afraid. Right? He was afraid to say what happened because he was scared to lose his job. So they had him under the impression of fear of losing his job. It's not whether I believe the movie or not. I've done enough research on other things and other issues like this to understand what the rationale was. Yeah, I mean, check this out. Y'all want to say that? I know that for a fact. You know how he told them the story about the Cheney, Goodwin, and Hearns in Mississippi, right? Remember how he told them that story? Do y'all know how those guys that did that, y'all know how they got caught? Y'all ever see that show, The Daughters of the Mob, right? When they first came on, it's a show called Daughters of the Mob. Matter of fact, I even give you a better one. if you watch The Sopranos, the gay mobster in The Sopranos, right? The guy that played the gay mobster in The Sopranos, if y'all remember The Sopranos, right? In real life, that guy got caught when heroin was just, because heroin, the Vietnam War, heroin was coming on the scene, right? Because I'm gonna really dig into all this shit. I'm gonna get deep today, right? Heroin was coming on the scene, so he jumped into the drug game. I don't remember this mafia guy's name. I don't remember his name, but I'm gonna pull it up, right? He was the one who got those white guys to tell the FBI where them dead civil rights workers was at. It's a documentary where the fucking FBI agent was like, whatever this Italian dude did to them dudes, he had never seen people more ready to rat in his life. He said this Italian guy had these dudes calling him nonstop. Like, we're going to tell you where he's at. We're going to tell you where he's at. So Hoover worked with the mob to help him get Klan members. He used the mob to help him find the white dudes who killed those civil rights workers. So, Psycho, you 100% correct. Hoover stayed working with the mafia. Stayed working with them. I mean, it was no different than the relationship with any big city mayor in a mob, right? It was a thing of they would come and pay him back money, make sure the district attorney knew certain things, because that's what those relationships was about. To make sure that this district attorney was cool. That he was the one looking to big himself up and to get his stripes. Right, yeah, like it's no mafia in Oakland, like there's no, you know what I'm saying? Right, that's exactly why. That's exactly why. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just checking the chat, just seeing what they say in the conversation. The chat is really deep. Yeah, see, so again, so as I watched the movie, the things that I took from it was how many black people was really in cahoots with this idea. Like when the black FBI agent came and gave him the drugs to put in Fred Hampton's drink and shit, right? Like, and the way he put on his pimp attire and he came in. I'm trying to understand what was the catalyst for these black men, right? Like the Wild Bill dude, we know what he did to himself after the documentary came out, where at the end of the movie, he talking all cocky and shit like, well, I was on the front lines, this, that, and the third, being all fucking nonchalant when the guy asked him, what you gonna tell your son when he see that you a dirtbag rat, right? He tried to put his ass on his shoulders and act like he really did something, and he really didn't do anything, right? Nah, the mob didn't run. The mob, the feds ran the Panthers out of existence, not out of Chicago. They ran them out of all cities. They ran them out of America. The feds did that, not the mob. That the cops in Chicago was just the bit players. They just used them as racist assholes who was just going to do the job. The Chicago Police Department had no true command and control over what was going on. What's going on, D? Thanks for coming through, bro. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Right. Well, see, Daniel, that was the whole plan. That was the whole plan. They didn't want Fred Hampton to organize the gangs. That would have gave him more power and more prestige than they ever bargained for. That was the whole thing. Right? That was the whole thing to go. The FBI agent was taking notes to say, like, okay, this plus this gonna equal this, right? So they started deflection and countermeasures, right? To kind of turn the gangs away from Fred Hampton. So what's going on, GMT? So the whole idea, what's going on, Mo? So the whole idea of it was, to disrupt that coalition, right? Because his coalitions wasn't just, with blacks. He wanted the coalition with the poor whites, the Puerto Ricans, right? Because he understood they was all facing a level of police brutality and a level of impoverishment and what some would call benign neglect if you in that camp, right? Yeah, that was a dope ass stream last night, GMT. I must give it to you. That was a dope ass stream last night. But I do politics over here. I do black shit over here. So I go over there to you to do the woman shit. Check out the ladies. But so for me, it was like I understood exactly what was going on, but I just wish people got out of the movie that when they take out our leaders, they're not taking them out because these people represent a messiah, right? They take them out because these people represent a awakening of us, right? They don't want a renaissance in the black community. They don't want the black community to wake up and to be enlightened, and because that changes the dating pool, that changes the options for their kids, right? Because they teach their kids to go out and get you a good husband, hard worker. So if there are black men out there that work hard and professional and ambitious and happen to catch an eye of a white girl, then they're gonna mate up. They didn't kill these leaders to stop these leaders from making us better. They killed these leaders to stop making potential mates for white people, because they understood proximity. See, our beef with them is not about equality. It's about fucking their kids. Their beef with us is not about stopping us from having equal. It's about stopping us from being secure enough and being stronger financially enough to where we become options for their kids. And they still didn't stop it. Daniel in here right now talking about mixed kids and half-breeds. Every commercial we see on television now is a mixed couple just about. Where you never seen that shit 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Now, every commercial, if you was to sit and do empirical research on the new way advertising and marketing companies make commercials with families, you'll see in a block of commercials nothing but mixed families. They'll put in a few traditional black on black, white on white, Asian on Asian, Spanish on Spanish, but for the most part, you'll start to see the blending of America. Now I'm going to get even deeper as we go. Like, that movie was more of a sign to say, this is what it's really about. It's not about you being a doctor or a lawyer, right, and helping your own. It's about if you become that, the chances are you might be able to bring your black ass to my front door. Because whoever said it to the dude, what if your daughter brought a nigger home? What would you do? And the first thing the white guy said, she won't. She won't. That was his automatic response. But see, Hoover, being the leader and the director, right, he gets intel, right? And intel will tell you, is a weather vane. It's a weather vane. It tells you what the future weather gonna be. See, that same thing that Martin Luther King said, I stood at the mountaintop and I seen it. See, all that information Hoover had on demographics and immigration status and communities, right? Because they had people in the community. You see how many black agents existed to help this go down. I mean, there was black agents everywhere. New Haven, New York, Philly, everywhere. So they had enough able bodies and willing bodies, black bodies, that was willing to participate in the, I'm going to call it the arrested development of black America. It was enough people that were willing, black people that were willing to participate in that. We see that now in the spaces that we be in. We watch black people allow for other non-black people or other black people of diaspora to say fuck shit about African Americans or fuck shit about the contributions of Africans and black people in civilization. Peace, Third Ward. Thanks for coming through, bro. See, Daniel, the thing is, the one drop rule existed way before the 18th century. That's what you got to understand. See, you got to look up the Duke of Florence. You got to look up Queen Sophia Charlotte of Mecklenburg. You got to look up Alexander Pushkin. You got to look those guys up. And then you will see that the idea of the one drop rule and the octoroons and things of that nature existed way before the 18th century. Way before. Way before. Yeah, him too. Yeah. I'm with you on that. I checked that out before. But back to the movie. So, what the movie displayed to me is that we got to be mindful of what their true goal is. It can't always be, the white man, no, we can't blame the white man no more, this, that, and the third. Yes, his intentions may not be nefarious, but this is what we got to understand. When we see movies like this, when we see the movies about the slave narratives, we see movies about black great freedom fighters, whether they're American, whether they're African, right? If we pay attention to the underlying message, it's always about their survival. Right? January 6, 2021 was about their survival. As a group, as a race, as a civilization. And Donald Trump was their last bastion of hope that would swell this diversifying of America, build the wall, you know what I mean? The what's the name? Muslim ban, right? All this was to stop the browning of America, to give the white civilization a chance to survive, to take it off the life support system that it's presently on. See, that rage and all that fury that you've seen, that's called survival instincts. The killing of Fred Hampton was about white survival. It wasn't about black oppression. It was about white survival. And what those black people who joined that white survival movement was told was, you can have some umbrella under the sun. Here's a gas station for you. Long as you help us survive, we'll take care of you. We got you. See, we are watching black people do that now in these spaces. We're watching black people say, man, Trump ain't that bad. Trump ain't that bad. Because they're told if you make a certain amount of money economically, this tax break will benefit you. If you join this party, we got all these financial benefits to you. We'll help you move away from the ghetto, but you just got to help us survive. By lying, by saying that the election was a fraud, by saying that all those black people and all those people that look like you, their votes don't count. See, we're watching black people right now make that sacrifice to say, damn, if they shit go down, how they gonna act? RBR is like that. That's what RBR whole platform is. We gotta find the good ones. And then once we find the good ones, we gotta help them, stay afloat. But we gotta find the good ones. And I'm not saying that there are no good ones, because there are. But what we have to ask the good ones, like the FBI agent asked him, I was watching you. You really believe what Fred Hampton is saying. You ain't really a CI. You really a Black Panther. It was like, you ain't no cop Jay Reed. You ain't no cop Jay Reed. So we really have to ask the good ones, are you really an ally? And when the shit hit the fan, who team you gonna be on? And see, and Renaissance, thanks for coming through. And that's another thing. Those ones like that want to quietly erase their bloodline. Because that's what Hoover was trying to do. See, that's the greater thing, right? See, and I was going to get to that Renaissance, but you beat me to it, god damn it. My smart friends, see, when my smart friends come through, they tear up my plans. Damn it, you Renaissance man. See, now I'm just go ahead and drop the link. Because you done tore up my plans. No, that's just bullshit. Yeah, so the thing is, it's about paying attention to people's actions and agendas, right? Because now, we seeing black people invite white people into black spaces, and then we see these black people be like, well, man, you ain't gotta be black all day. Well, what the fuck am I supposed to put it down because the white dude came into the chat, or the white dude came to your platform, so I'm supposed to put my blackness down and just be a human right now? I'm a humanist. Yes, that's true, bro. That's true, Renaissance. But see, my thing is, it was eerie to me because the movie takes place in the 60s, but nothing has changed. Nothing. And now I'm in a space where, because see, when I was on the street, I wasn't around people like that, right? Because wasn't nobody trying to infiltrate us, right? And if they were black. We had black CI, so it wasn't like, I got my first time getting arrested for hustling was with white people, and they told them, they straight did like that to the cop, like the shit is on him, right? Like that's my own. So if you want to know why I don't trust white people, I have every reason not to. They literally signaled to the cop. I had to fuck these cops up just to get the shit off me, so I wouldn't be going to jail for 10, 15 years for all the shit I had on. And at that time, I was selling a drug that they had started making new laws and shit to really nail you to the cross, because it was a drug that was predominantly used by white people, or beginning to be used by white people. That wet. And any drug that makes its way out to the suburbs and start affecting their kids, they come back, and these legislative bodies and these legislators, they come back and they create laws to punish severely those people who sell drugs that affect their kids. And I knew that. So in order for me to survive that incident and not be in prison for 10 years, I had to do some other shit. But I never sold a drug to a white person again after that. Matter of fact, I used to tell white people, you got 2 minutes to be in and out. And if you ain't in and out of that 2 minutes, I start hurling bottles, bricks, all kind of shit. I didn't fuck with them. They wasn't allowed to come around me. And that was based on my experience with them in that space. I watched them pull in the hood and take the drugs and pull off and speed off and call us niggas and all that. And niggas, hungry, greedy niggas, still let them come in. Oh man, they good because they coming and buying 10 sherms at a time. Right? So they come 5 times a week, but best believe on that 6th and 7th time, they coming on some bullshit because ain't nobody got that much money to buy 10 and 15 sherms a day. So one of them runs gonna be some fuck shit. And I watch plenty of nigga fall victim to that fuck shit. It's cool, Psycho. I don't care about the haters, man, and they dislike. I don't care about that shit. That shit don't bother me. That shit don't bother me at all. It's probably somebody from RBR channel, you know what I'm saying? Because whoever Old Breed was, probably KK, just haters. See, and this is what I'm saying. The person that pushed the 8 likes, the 8 dislikes, that's the motherfucker in the movie. The person that pushed the 8 dislikes, they having an internal issue right now because they probably done ratted on some black people. See, those 8 dislikes are the black people that I'm talking about that's bringing the terrible people into the space. Believe that. Because I ain't never got no dislikes on any other video. None. Right? And that's cool because they need to be exposed. Because we're so vulnerable to attack from not only outside but from within. We don't want to be honest. We don't want to be honest about what really takes place in our community, about the idea of survival, about the idea of people understanding their vulnerability, not only through their race, but also through their economic and class place. See, the problem is a lot of black people in our community that turn on us are black people that was misfits. See, I'm not from Chicago, so I don't know where Maywood is, but it seemed like the guy who was the informant wasn't from where the Panthers was from. He was an outsider who probably had a more diverse lifestyle and more diverse community. See, when he went in, he came, like, he got knocked off because what his hustle was coming in the black community, stealing from black people. That was his hustle. So he never really had a true affinity or love for black people because he knew, he said something very poignant. A badge is more deadly to a black man than a gun. Like, look at all the symbolism in this movie. Look at all the language in the movie. See, when I used to watch movies, I didn't really look for those things, right? But when you're more settled and you're more in tune, you pay attention to little things. And I paid attention to the little things in that movie that signified that he didn't really have a true connection, not only with his blackness, but with those black people that he was infiltrating. His language, his body language. And that's why I didn't understand why they didn't see he was a rat. He was the ops. Well, they get the loudspeaker, Daniel, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna veer off a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you why the biracials are becoming preeminent in our community. Because, and this is crazy, but y'all gotta hear this. They represent a piece and part of those non-black parents that they have. And there's symbolism of what those who don't carry true racial animus want this nation to be representative of. See, they can't pin certain things on the non-African American black people that they can pin on African American black people. See, they can't pin the black attitude on a Kamala Harris because you got so many people saying she's not black. They can't pin the thug shit on Obama because they can say he's not all black. It's almost like these individuals have personal pursuits, and then they're found by people who would say, "Oh, this would be a great representation of where we're trying to go." We can pass them off as diversity. Right? They use them as symbolism, right, of what America could be. But the individuals don't ride that wave. They don't even know that they're on that wave until the wave crashes. And then they realize, like, oh shit, I just rode a wave of symbolism and bullshit. So what they try to do is reconfigure that and come back in a different light, where they're not controlled by the symbolism of the wave. It had, and I won't necessarily say being black is being whitewashed. I'm gonna say that they found symbolic people that can represent whiteness and blackness at the same time. They found people who can get them out the, you know what I mean? Like, see, it's the black friend syndrome. Now they got the black examples of excellence that they can say, you know, see, they use it all the time. See, Obama was president. Obama was the president. See, we ain't racist. Obama was the president. But the crazy part about it is the people who said that Obama was the president didn't fucking vote for him. So the people that say, oh, this country ain't racist, Obama was the president, y'all didn't vote for him. So they take victories in places where they shouldn't take victories. Because the thing is, well, he ain't African American. He ain't fully black. He ain't no slave black. And then if they marry to like a black person or they already married, that's even better because now, well, he ain't coming to my house. See, they just stopping us from coming to their house, y'all. So when we have these complex arguments like my man Daniel is having, we're just overlooking what their true agenda is. And their only agenda is to keep us out of their front door. To keep us away from Johnny and Mary. That's it. That's it. They go through all what they go through, break laws, create all white police departments, elect Donald Trump. They go through all that shit just to keep us from not having sex with their fucking kids. Because unlike the people who shit on pro-blacks and the people who poo-poo on black people like me who love black people unapologetically, right? They understand one thing. We are the shit. We are the dominant factor in the motherfucking species of humans. And when you fuck with us, you become us. And I know a lot of y'all gonna disagree with that, but that's the fucking truth. They don't see Pat Mahomes as a white person, y'all. They don't see Kamala Harris as an Indian, y'all. They don't see Barack Hussein Obama as a white man, y'all. They never will. They know who those fucking people belong to. They've been dealing with it for time memoriam. They've been ran out of every motherfucking place they've been. Why? Because they're the weakest on the evolutionary link. They're the weakest. When they mate with Asians and Mongoloids, the child looks more Mongoloid. When they mix with blacks, the child looks black. You say he a white boy, but no white boy is going to say he's a white boy. I put money on that. I put money on that. You will not get one white person in America to agree with you that Patrick Mahomes is a white person. No, brother, you are African American. I mean, I've seen you on camera. We can see that you're dark complected. So we see that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to associate your dark complexion to you coming from Africa. I have dark skinned brothers and sisters. I have a dark skinned child. You know what I'm saying? Like, my child ain't from Africa. His mom is from Haiti, but he ain't from Africa. My other child is Jamaican, right? And my kids are dark-skinned because they have less admixture than me. Their parents are more African than me. I understand that. I understand that when my American kids are going to look like me, but my non-American black kids are going to look like their non-American black Jamaican and Haitian mother. And I think that it's okay to have that conversation, but I think we have to juxtapose it to how others see that. See, we don't want them in because they starting to get all the perks and shit that we could never get. And I understand that. I just don't harbor that feeling towards them. I just don't feel that way about them. I don't feel that way about them. I mean, I understand the animus towards them. I understand that they're getting, they're moving up in the world. Like, and you know what's crazy? It's becoming kind of weird because now anybody with curly hair or anybody with any kind of exotic look, like people think Russell Wilson is a half-breed. Russell Wilson got 2 black parents. Russell Wilson's grandfather is like the fucking king of Norfolk, Virginia. Black, they're the black dynasty. Like he comes from black royalty almost, damn near. What you want? Scissors? I don't know where they at. Where they at? Sorry, y'all. Where they at? Come find them. I don't know where they at. Oh, they right there. They right there. Say what's up to the people. You want to say what's up? Say what's up. Say peace, everybody. You gotta come over. The camera over here. Say peace, y'all. See my black baby? See y'all see my dark skin baby? Say peace. All right, see you later. Go back to class. Right? So they're both black. Psycho. Both of his parents are African American, bro. I don't know why you keep doing that. Both of his parents are black, bro. Look it up. Look it up. Russell Wilson's dad is a black lawyer and his mom is a black nurse. His parents are black, bro. I don't know why you keep doing that, Psycho. His parents are, but I don't know what research you did. His parents are black. His mom and his dad are black, dog. I don't know what I don't know look at his mom, y'all. Like this is his mom. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Okay, share screen. Okay, wow. Oh my God, like I hate this. No, ain't everybody black to me. Listen, man, and you know what's fucked up? It's just you dark-skinned people that feel like that. Because it's like y'all think y'all measure of blackness is the supreme measure of blackness. Like, that's weird to me. Like, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird to me. I mean, but what's that story say? What that story say? His mother was black too. Like, this is mom. They won't let me. This is his mom. I'm gonna put it in the chat what his mom look like. I mean, it was a colorist statement. Yo, what's up with all these RBR trolls, man? Hey, listen to the RBR trolls, right? To all you terrible white motherfuckers from RBR channel. Let me explain something to y'all. Don't come over here with that. Take that shit over there with him. Take that. Y'all go over there and y'all kick it with him. Y'all go ahead and kick it with him. Right? I'm not doing that. It wasn't a colorist statement because this is the thing, right? Sweet Pea, the reason why I said that, his pop's not a South Pacific Islander. His pop is a black man, a dark-skinned black man. A dark-skinned black man. Damn, I can't put it in the chat. Well, I'm about to drop the link in a minute, man, so we can chop it up. I can't put this shit in the chat. Yo, I'm about to drop the link in a minute, so we can chop it up in a second. Let me do a little something here and here. Yeah, but his parents is black, y'all. I don't know why y'all keep thinking Russell Wilson's parents is these mixed people. His mom and daddy is black people. Black people. They not this is his grand. Like, I mean, if y'all could just see like all the pictures of his family, like you can look up his whole entire family like online. Like, it's not even a secret. Oh yeah, no, come on, D, you my man, dog. I ride for you, man. Like, I'm one of the people, man. Our disagreements on philosophy and shit like that don't change if we have other connections, bro. So it ain't like that. I definitely don't ride like that, bro. Well, I'm saying dark skinned people, Sweet Pea, because right? These guys get on me because I identify certain light skinned people as who they are, black people, right? That's it. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing for me. Yo, I'm gonna leave the link there for a few minutes. I ain't gonna leave it there forever because I don't want a bunch of trolls. Um, I don't want a bunch of trolls coming up. Nah, Psycho, he ain't black, man. I don't, that ain't, I'm not rocking with that story, dog. Like, I ain't doing that. I can't, I mean, it won't even let me open it up anyway. Like, I'm trying to click it. It won't even let me open it up. Rollo, what's good, Rollo?
You gotta have a one-on-one on my show.
Why? What I do now, man? When you call for one-on-one, Rollos, you trying to bust a nigga out. I'm good. I ain't do nothing wrong, bro.
What's going on with you, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. Just trying to have a show today, man. I just watched that movie, Judas and the Messiah, man, and it was a really good movie, very good acting. But you know, Rollo, you be around me, right? You be when I'm over Red's channel, and you see how I catch flack and shit when I'm like, yo, y'all be having these white dudes in the spaces and they come on the fuck shit, right? And motherfuckers get mad at me, be like, no, AC, man, you're racist and all this and that. But I'm always like articulate about why and clear about why I have a problem with them sometimes. Like, I don't necessarily have a problem with them showing up. It's just how they interact when they show up and what they say, right? And what that movie taught me is, right, to be mindful and pay attention to the black people who bringing these people in.
I'm with you on that. 100%.
Hey, what's this Hiram a Biff down here, Daniel? What is that Hiram a Biff? What is that all about? What do you know about that? Don't tell me you have been on that you've been on the other side of that wall.
What do you mean?
Don't tell me that you are the widow's son. Please don't tell me that.
Hopefully I'm not too loud. Give me 1 second. I need to
I got you. All right, do that. I got you. Hey, Rollo. So what I learned in this movie, Rollo, watching this movie, is that we got a lot of people that's doing some fuck shit in the space, man, and we gotta pay attention to whether or not what's their agenda, man.
You gotta understand something. Since the dawn of time, ever since we went against the Most High, he said he will put enmity between us and them, meaning some of the children are not your children. That's in the scriptures, man. Some people are not your people. So what happens is when you start doing good as a collective, you're going to have infiltrators of infiltrators. The people, for the most part, outside of this realm, know we are the higher being. So when they see us do things that they do on a regular basis behind closed doors, and we want to one up, a lot of our people love being wicked. It's hard to stay upstanding in this society. We have a lot of sick men, young men our age, well, your age, my age, and older, who are prancing, attacking, destructing their own community and other communities. The world is watching the so-called black man parading himself like a buffoon, and it has a lot to do with the food, it has a lot to do with the condition, it has a lot to do with the water. But we take the easy road. We don't want to deal with the hard stuff, because the hard stuff is you looking yourself in the mirror. You looking at you. It's nobody but you. What is you trying to do to change the image around you? Our image is done, man. It is done. We have taken the cup of Babylon to the 4th T. We kill off, or we jealous of people who don't want to do the same thing you was doing when you was young. When the Iron Man stands out, everybody's after him. Not one particular race. Everybody's after him.
That's facts. That's facts.
You have a motherfucking light. It's less like people on this planet, man. Let's cut the bullshit. It's more people dark. It's dark entities in the society because the people chose the dark entity. Nobody wants to live upright.
Yo,
Nobody.
it's crazy that you say that, right? When you talk about looking in the mirror, right, and doing something, right? Like the guy, the informant in the movie, like at the end of the movie, they showed him because this was the only time he was on camera, the only time he did an on-camera interview, and he was real arrogant, right? And he was like, you know, Raul, he had said, well, you know, I did the right thing, and I was on the front line. He wanted to give this impression that he was really a Black Panther. Like he really went out and was for the cause when he was really just an informant that brought down the whole entire organization, right? He was literally the loose string that pulled the whole shit loose, right? And he thought he could look himself in the mirror. But the man had asked him, what do you think your son is going to say about you when he sees this years from later, right? But the thing is, when he seen the documentary, Rollo, the documentary came out on Martin Luther King birthday, 1990. He killed himself that night because that documentary was the real mirror. And he couldn't avoid looking in the mirror because he seen what he had done in totality. See, it was easy for the money and all the shit the FBI gave him to smooth over that shit and to you know, make it seem like it was something else. But when he was faced with the reality, like you said, he couldn't deal with it, my brother. He took himself out that night. That night.
Yep. And it's going to be many of them in this space going to do it too in the near future.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that because they can't reinvent themselves. If you came here to infiltrate the space and now the team that you infiltrating the space for is no longer in power and then people catching on, it's going to be hard for you to infiltrate the space, and now you're going to see people changing, or they're going to try to come back to the fold and be like, oh yeah, man, I wasn't really about that political shit. It was all about the money. But that's only because their handlers told them, all right, now go back in there and reinvent yourself.
Yep.
Because they got handlers. Like you said, see, I didn't believe you when you said it, but after watching that shit, it's like, now maybe Valo was on or something. Maybe motherfuckers did send these motherfuckers. Right? Because look at how I was in the other day, how a motherfucker popped up on us. And the first thing motherfucker asked me, well, what makes you think you can speak like that? Well, why are you worried about what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Like, why am I on your radar? I don't come to your channel. I don't be in your chat.
Yep.
Why does it matter to you what I'm saying? Because a motherfucker like me is going to be the one to separate the bullshit from the real shit.
Yep.
And call these motherfuckers out. Like, you know, they gonna be like, oh shit, this motherfucker gonna awaken them.
It's when you mess with their sufficient funds and when you mess with their lifestyle, because they need this.
Yeah.
They need this. That's why they going over by Reg, because Reg and I put it in Reg's ear. I said, look, Reg, you gotta observe better. No disrespect to Reg, but he doesn't observe and articulate everything. He goes by the numbers and the views. I respect that, but there's not a time. This is not a time for the numbers and views. You got to understand that you did something that the space didn't do naturally. It was organic when people showed you love last year. They didn't like that. They didn't like that at all because they felt like, how's he getting that? And he's not really talking about what we talk about. You got to look at the numbers. And so he ain't had that many people watching, but he had the most support. Right. Thanks to Benini, thanks to Preem, thanks to myself, but to the women and the men. So when that happened, they've been on his behind since then. Right. So when me and him didn't talk, they infiltrated my channel and got me terminated. The JPs and all those suckers. I've been dealing with these people way before YouTube because I was in the known like Super Sly. There's certain things I see that most people don't see. You was in the military. You saw things that average man won't see. Right. That's in the block. So when you remove yourself from the block and you deal with the real world and you see the observation and you see things that a common man won't see, of course people going to attack my integrity. Because I always say people be sent because they sent them to me here in New York. They sent them to me wherever I go, certain places. And if they can't go there, they'll try to infiltrate the people you deal with who you close to. They'll bring the people close to you to turn on you. That's why the Bible says your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your wife will betray you in these last days, man.
I hear
That
you.
shit is
Yo,
real, man.
let me get action potential in him. Let me get my man Daniel in here real quick,
What's
Rollo. I
going
appreciate
on,
the pull
man?
up. What's
I
going
finally
on,
got a
bro?
chance to come to your channel, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you here, my brother. You know me and you got that alliance that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, but they know
Yeah,
I rock with you. They know it.
we go. I'm hoping to have a lot of heated discussions about the things you're talking about. I'm hoping to get riled up. Go do my research. Go buy more books. Find areas to agree and areas to disagree with you on. I want to stay on your topic. I don't want to, and if you want to divulge into the race conversation we was having, we can do that. But in regards to what you was talking about in Chicago, and not to make my introduction so lengthy, I remember I lived in Chicago for a couple years, and if I could relate to you, um, I did a tour. I did one land tour in Iraq. I was in and out of Fallujah, which is southern Iraq. I used to fly in through the Kuwaiti base, Kuwait City base. It's like an Air Force base there, and we used to fly into the South Iraq and Basra, and go back and forth from
Hafuf,
Fallujah.
Basra coming up,
Yeah,
Fallujah, Basra. Yeah,
the
I
Creek.
got you.
I've been to the Green Zone, but I was more so. I supply Marines. We would set up small bases and scout transportation routes for Marines and things of that nature.
Okay.
So, fellow Iraq, I'm an Operation Freedom vet. I think you served in the first tour.
Yeah, I'm Gulf War and Basra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we different. I'm a Operation Iraqi Freedom vet. So definitely
Yeah,
relate to you.
my son is my oldest boy is Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Damn, bro, you don't look that old. You don't look that
Yeah, I'm
old, man.
47 years old, man. I'm 47, bro. Yeah,
Fuck,
I'm
man.
47 years old. Yeah, I'm 47, bro.
Damn. I
Shit, I
thought you was
got
around my age, bro.
my oldest daughter just turned 29, bro.
Oh,
Yeah, man, I got 4 grandkids.
damn. Grandpa
Yeah,
AC
man.
star in this bitch. Damn.
Yeah,
But you know
man.
what? On a humble tip, I pray that I'm able to be a grandfather one day. Hope
Yeah,
I'm alive, healthy.
it's a great
I
feeling,
just
man. It's a great
a
feeling.
second generation jumping on your lap.
It's a great. He was just here. I just had my oldest grandson here last month. He stayed with me for like 2 months. It was the greatest feeling in the world to have my 8-year-old son and my 9-year-old grandson
wow.
in the same space. I mean, it was dope.
That's
It was
wild.
super dope. And to watch him
Dig into
develop.
your heart now.
Right. And my girl told my daughter, like, damn, he a hell of a grandfather. Like, he talked to the boy, he easy with him. He ain't do that shit with the kids. But it's different.
I mean,
it's different.
you know what? I wasn't in that position, but I heard you on Reg, and I had to fall back and say, okay, how do I objectively understand your position on being a stepfather, going in and out of relationships without being egotistical and harsh? Because you said some things that I disagree with, but that's for another discussion. I want to dig into your heart on this.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's get there.
I lived in Chicago for 2 years when I got out of the military. Now, about 2 years ago, I've been studying to be a nurse. I was just working on my BA. Before I got my BA, my professor, Dr. Ruth Birch, we would have these in-length conversations about black and white. Did you know my instructor, she was German and Polish. She's a natural born Chicago native where I just lived there. All right, I've been all through Chicago. And she gave me a perspective from the white people's perspective. So when you talking about the Black Panther there, do you know that I taught my college professor, Dr. Ruth Birch, her house got bombed by the Black Panthers. The German community there and the Polish mob will have conflict over storefronts, over property, and the way that they had those houses built, I forgot what it's called, where they used to have the railroad. It's these houses, and the way that they was built, they had to intermingle. It could be something as small as the Polish people having sausages out in their backyard, and maybe they have brownstones.
I don't think they got brownstones in Chicago, Psycho.
Yeah, I think they do. It was back then. I forgot what it was called. but they had like these houses that was built for the guys back in the day that worked for the railroad company.
Okay.
So some of these houses were stacked on top of each other, and a lot of Polish people were kind of nasty. So they used to grow Polish sausage and stuff. It would cause infestation, rodent, and stuff like that. The German people with being beefs and gangs. Do you know that the Black Panthers saw an opportunity to kind of, because the communities were so close to each other but yet segregated. You couldn't cross over viaducts and stuff like that and do business or pass through certain German towns, super supremacists and shit. So a lot of the beef that the Black Panthers had with the Germans and the Polish, they couldn't tell the difference between the two. They firebombed all you motherfuckers. So when we talking about what the Black Panthers went through in regards to the feds could not stop the Italian mob, the Jewish mob, the Polish mob, the Germans, in conjunction with the Black community that was just growing and growing and growing and getting so big. So you had a lot of fractions in Chicago that were having inter-conflict, from alcohol to the
so
eatery.
It was basically, as migration created all these different enclaves, German enclaves, Black enclaves, Polish enclaves, based on migration, right? Because we had the European immigration and then we had the Southern migration.
Now, what I agree with is the Black Panthers at that time were more strategic, more deadly, more willing to die. When the Black Panthers came to Chicago, from what was told to me, they came like a storm. People just started getting enlightened and waking up. You know, Chicago has a lot of history with Elijah Muhammad and Timothy Drew coming from North Carolina. So once those fractions,
Noble Drew Ali. So when those fractions was dying off, all they had was the Black Panthers. So you had people that was conscious, that had already kind of been toppled. And now you got a new fraction that was even more deadly, even more willing to die. They couldn't stop the Black Panthers. So it wasn't just that Fred Hampton was a great speaker. There was other men that came out of Chicago that was just super mob mentality. They had to stop the Black Panthers, because if they didn't, they was going to overtake the city. Chicago was literally at that point of losing control of the city. You got mobs. I can agree with that, right? I can agree with that. And even in saying that, right? Even in saying that they were worried about the Black, because that's why they infiltrated them in California. That was the whole point of why they broke them up in California, because it was like to take away their power, right? Like anytime they do that, it's to take away their power. Now, in the history that you're telling, I'm not so familiar with, but I'm sure it was correct, and I could correlate it to what's going on. But my thing is, even with that being said, the overall agenda of them being infiltrated was to stop their power from spreading, right? From metastasizing, right?
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. It was just to stop it, because that power and that influence would change minds, would change communities. And then when you change community, see, my thing is always, when you design a plan and you build it and you maintain it, right? See, Black people, we don't go vertical, we go horizontal, right? But an organization like the Black Panthers wanted to go horizontal. They wanted to build so they could get a better view of the land. You know what I'm saying? Right, so they can get a right, where we used to go from 3-point plans, the 5-point plans, to 10-point plans, right? You started talking about finances, credit unions, because things like that can get financed, right? Things like that can barter money, because that's what a credit union is. It's really a bartering place for people that really don't have the means to barter outside of having a job. They use your job as a bartering system.
You're triggering me. So now I'm thinking, when you said that, I was arguing with Psychopathia in the chat where I'm explaining.
Yeah, we're going to let Psycho in 1 minute.
The Jews control the banking in Chicago to this day.
Right.
So as you speak about that, that's what I'm saying, that the feds had to come in and break things up from within. They had to make deals with the Jewish mob, with the Polish mob, with the Italian mob.
But what's the key to that, though? Yeah. The skin color.
I disagree with that.
Listen.
Let me tell you why I disagree. Chicago is even to this day,
it's the most segregated city in America. I'm with you. It's the most segregated city in America.
There's blend cultures like that in Chicago. We know you a nigga.
But you're not right. They're not gonna blend them now, because they broke the ability for it to be blended. So when the Black Panthers and all those, when the Black Panthers was taken out, all those all those enclaves just entrenched themselves, and then the gangs came, right? Because then because the gang that once the Black Panther shit went dead in Chicago, in LA, some of them started coming to Chicago.
What if I told you that Jeff Ford had a lot of his late teachers was guys that wasn't deep in the Black Panthers, but had family members in the Black Panthers associations? If you know who Jeff Ford is, Willie Lloyd had the same thing. David Barksdale. I hate bringing his name up, but Larry Hoover, he's too popular, so I try to bring up the names of people who you don't know. When they started off conflicting with each other, my point is, though, don't forget, Chicago is a extremely Black city.
Yeah, it is. It is. Hey, yo, let me get Psycho in right quick. He been here for a minute. Psycho, my brother. Psycho, I want to say this real quick. Aren't you happy that everybody else in America is getting what we normally get? And we just got some rain this morning for the first time ever.
Yeah, we needed that rain because I finally can see grass again.
Right, and knock that snow down. Tell him, Psycho, we ain't seen grass and pavement in weeks.
Yeah, but
peace, bro.
The piggyback on the Chicago thing, real quick. My whole thing was like he was bringing up the mob affiliations with what happened with Fred Hampton. And I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not saying the mob didn't have some implications to what happened, but that'd be kind of like us bringing up the US organization because with what happened with out in California, out in UCLA with Bunchy Carter and them, like the US organization and the Panthers all had batteries thrown in their back through the COINTEL program, and I'm sure the mafia was being used as a tool to shut down the Black Panthers because that was a nationwide effort to shut down the Panthers. Now, if they use the mob in Chicago as a tool to help shut down that chapter, that's believable. I'm not going to push back on that. And the mob has ran Chicago. The mob is a gang city. It's been a gang city. Since Al Capone and them.
You mean Chicago?
Italian mafia.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Chicago. Chicago. Chicago's been a gangster city since Al Capone and them with the North Siders versus the South Siders. You missing the Jewish mafia, which a lot of people don't talk about. People think the mafia is only the Italians. No, the Jewish mafia is very huge too. They also do control the banking system. So yeah, this country has been built off organized crime since its inception. Like it's always been organized crime affiliates and everything. And Chicago is like one of the mainstays, Chicago and New York. So yeah, so I'm not pushing back on that. I was just explaining how this Fred Hampton dying, I can't put solely on the mob because if it wasn't the mob, it would have been somebody else. Like that's what they was gunning for, either to lock these people up for forever or to kill them. That's what they was trying to do at the time.
Let me ask you a question, Psycho. Have you seen the movie? Have y'all seen the movie?
Yeah, I was going to actually review it a little bit later, me and Renee.
Yeah. Oh, so you have seen it?
Yeah, I saw it a few days ago.
Did you see so what did you take from Hoover's speech to the FBI agent? What did you take from that? When he asked him about, you seen Time to Kill, right? Did you see Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey? Do you remember the scene where he told the people to close their eyes and imagine, what happened to the little girl?
Right.
Now, I equated that scene to what Hoover said to the agent. Did you see it that same way, bro? I'll mute up.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hoover's been quoted as saying similar things, so they took it out of some old Hoover quote. So yeah, I've heard him say these things, and that's one of the things that he would say. That, and obviously his fear the rise of a Black Messiah. That's where they got the whole term from. That was a Hoover quote. So yeah, I definitely heard similar quotes from him. I don't know if that was the exact verbatim that they used in the movie, but I have heard him say similar things. And he was an old school white separatist. Yeah, he literally was a separatist. Which is funny because he always pushed back against the Black separatists. That's because he wanted to keep the Negroes in place. He felt like if Black people got too big, he wanted them separated, but he wanted them separated in small numbers, right? He didn't want them uniting, right? He didn't want them uniting and making a bigger front where they actually can get up the numbers and organize enough to where they can push back against the government and actually cause some damage. So he was always paranoid about that since his inception. His very first case as FBI director was against Marcus Garvey. So he's always had a hard on for any kind of black uprisings. He actually they had a foot in the game since the Nation of Islam's inception. With what you called Master Farad and everything else. Ever since then, like the whole Nation of Islam got funded by H.L. Hunt, who was the richest white dude back then.
Yeah, the guy, the founder of the Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, his father. That was his father.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
The railroad company.
Yeah.
Right. His son was
he hooked up. He hooked up.
Lamar Hunt. That was the Kansas City Chiefs founder. Yeah.
Yeah, he hooked up with the J.P. Morgan Chase and all that, kind of building that transcontinental railroad from one side to the other. He was one of the early robber barons. He was one of the early robber barons. It was like 5 or 6 of them. Him, what's name Oil, Standard Oil, Getty, Vanderbilt, Mellon Chase, the Mellon people, Carnegie Mellon people. You know what I'm saying? So he was one of the early.
I think he had something to do with the Kennedy assassination, truth be told, but I
can't you remember? Do you remember that shit? Did you ever see that shit with a dude asking the question and he was like, "Who you think you talking to?" And I was like, "Oh shit, dogs bark." Oh, he did that shit.
Yeah, there were stories that they planned the whole assassination at one of his gatherings out in Texas.
Right. Well, me, I took a different take on what he said to the FBI agent. Because for me, the reason why I hark back to that time to kill thing is because he was almost telling the guy to envision your black grandkids, right? Like he was putting a scare tactic in him to say, envision your black kids, right? Like if we don't stop this Fred Hampton guy now, right? A black man is going to show up at your door because this man is going to help them become equal or have equal footing, right? So your daughter is not going to see him for a monster. She's going to see him for a mate. She's going to see him for an option, right? And then our way, because he was very specific with his language. He was like, our way of life is over. Because he asked him, like, now me and Daniel been to war, right? And the whole thing about it is a lot of people think all of us that go to war, we going under that, we going for patriotic reasons. No, hell no. Some of us are there to get college money. Some of us are running from our backgrounds, our lives, shit like that. Some are there for patriotism. But he said something specific to him. You didn't kill for the flag. You killed for survival, right? So Hoover's whole thing was,
that's real.
Take these people out is for our survival, right? And that's why I equated to what happened on January 6th, because Trump was that new symbolism of that, right? To keep the white civilization, Western civilization on par. He put two of the most known white nationalists in America and internationally in his cabinet to start off his administration. And I think a lot of times we don't have enough discussions about what really goes behind this American black-white dynamic. And I think that Hoover's, that scene in that movie pretty much epitomizes what this whole narrative is, because he was specific. He said, our way of life won't survive. And their way of life is them on the top, us on the bottom.
And let's not get it twisted. You mentioned it before, race mixing. That was one of the main issues for the white male at that time. It still is to this day, but it was a bigger issue back then. So yeah, they did not want their daughters sleeping with black men and everything else. They was cool with their sons sleeping with black daughters. They didn't want their white daughters sleeping with black men, and that's one of the main pushbacks they had. That's what they didn't want the busing. They didn't want the whole integration thing, us living around each other, everything else, because that's one of the main things they was harping on. They didn't want no mongrel kids growing up. Right,
and because the mongrel kids represented the lessening and the dilution of them. Like it wasn't just a status thing. It was literally a survival of my species thing.
That's what the one drop rule was all about.
You know what I'm saying? It's literally about survival of my species, and we don't have that conversation in Black America. Like, to say how deep this is ingrained in them, Because and the reason why I say it like that is because we get in these spaces, Psycho, and we have these black people that want to be ambiguous about their blackness. And I'm not talking about the ones who are half-breeds. I'm talking about the ones who can say they got 4 black grandparents, right? Mm-hmm. Right? They get in these spaces and they're real ambiguous about their blackness, right? Because they're taking their cues from people who let them know, like, oh, we don't see color. We don't see color. They do see color. Absolutely. Right? But the color is not in their proximity, so it's easy to just be in these boxes like this and say you don't see color. But if you live in an all-white community where there ain't no black people around, and this is the only time you get to chill with black people, it's easy to say that. But I think that what's happening is these black people are being neutralized, and these people are coming in our spaces, and now they're trying to neutralize us and have this thing of, it ain't like that, right? Like we all should get along and that's not true. That's not true. Yeah.
And don't take this as an attack. Let's have the uncomfortable conversations. I want to reiterate something I asked you in the chat section. When you are even amongst black people, who are they going to see more as aggressive, criminal, crazy, hostile? Who's going to be associated with these things based on our pigmentation? Me or you?
The dark skin brothers and sisters.
That's the question. Me or you?
You.
Because I'm obviously a lot. When you use the word dark, if I could just state this, man, we have to understand that when we're thinking light and dark, this is coming from the mindset of Catholicism, the mindset of Protestants of medieval time, who saw light as good, dark as bad. When in all actuality, we're talking about pigmentation. We're talking about the amount of melanocytes in your epidermis, which is a biological function.
Right. It's like a solar panel.
When we think about the Putnick square and things of that nature, this is why I'm saying to you that when I look at you, I can see that within your successions that you have a more possibly, and I could be wrong because genetics is a phenomenon, that you possibly have a family member more recent of European or somewhat European descent than I have. Now, what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to show you my grandmother. She's the same color as you, but you wouldn't know that. Now, this is an old picture, but my grandmother was white and Native American. She was more like bomb cherry's color. And I could remember being a child and asking my grandmother, Granny, why are you white and all of us black? Because we have to be able to distinguish that our identity is something that was created to cause confusion. So if I were to even speak about pigmentation, I'm automatically castigated as a colorist. Or are you talking female talking points? But when I walk into a bank as a student nurse, being a man at that, 6'5", 200 pounds, I'm going to be associated with some things. Oh, he's soft. He's feminine. I'm after some money. Do you know how much a registered nurse makes? I'm after the paper. I'm going where I'm the most strongest intellectually and where I can actually go into society and make an honest living. But when in my street days, sometimes people will be intimidated by me just by my size. The connotations of black being bad. And the darker you are, the worse you are. If we can't point that out, if we can't have that honest discussion, we're going to continue to be whitewashed. All right? That's not going to change, AC.
Now, listen, I'm with you 10,000%. I agree with everything that you said. I will not take away from the validity of anything that you said, but I'm going to just preface it with this. We didn't create that narrative that your skin complexion makes you, a threat, right? We know who created that. They created that boogeyman. So what? That their daughters wouldn't fuck with that description, right? With that description. Well, yes, I think it's all. The sex is the byproduct, right? But the dilution of their race is the end result, right?
Why do you think sex is so significant in? Why do you think that that's so significant? Them not wanting their women
because the chances it changes their trajectory as a civilization. It changes their trajectory as a race, right? Because they're losing numbers. They're not going to identify that black baby as one of them, right? Even though you guys would call that baby a mixed baby or whatever, in their mind, that baby is a black baby because they define, hold on, let me finish. They define what goes on in their group and we define what goes on in our group, right? So that's why I limit my pushback to you and Psycho, because I can't tell you guys not to feel the way you feel about race mixing, right? Because if I can't go over to that other group and say nothing to them, I'm damn sure not gonna give you guys extreme pushback. I'm gonna just tell you my position on it, and I'm gonna stand on that, but I'm gonna allow you to have your space to stand on yours. But the whole thing is, their idea is about, if that black baby pops up in my house, I know what that is. That person, that baby does not represent my civilization. It does not represent my tribe. It's actually starting a new tribe, right? Because if you think about our origins, right, the African American, we're almost a new race because we're different than all our brothers and sisters in the African diaspora, even to the point of our West Indian brothers and sisters, even to our South American, Central American brothers and sisters. So I agree with you on understanding how certain imagery has been portrayed upon our brothers that's on the darker end of the complexion scale. Sisters and brothers and sisters on the dark end of the complexion scale. I totally agree with that. You won't get no pushback from me, but I understand that that descriptor was created as a scaring tactic for white people.
Okay, man, I make a statement.
What's good, Renaissance man? Peace. Hold on, let me let my man Renaissance. Hold on, go ahead, Action. Do your thing. Yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Do your thing.
What happens to the so-called black community if our definition or our identity is defined by outside groups?
You have what we have now. You have murder, killing, rape. You have aggression. You have
something. You have confusion about who you are. What did you say, Psycho? I'm sorry.
No, I'll say I think he missed your point. Go ahead, continue.
You have confusion about who you are and what you are. Now you're being whitewashed and defined by somebody else's identification of your culture. You use the terminology Africa when I know that the term Afri, which is the root of African, comes from a Carthaginian tribe that was conquered by Cornelius Scipio.
The Roman Empire.
Africanus, meaning that is the specific tribe that had to be dominated within Carthage that was causing so much chaos for the Roman army. We all read about Hannibal. Now, I know that when I was close to Africa, I've never been on mainland Africa, but I've been to Aden, Yemen during my military career, right? When I was there, when I was in Jebel Ali in United Arab Emirates, you would come across Africans that was right on the seaport that was in different forms of slavery to do certain types of work, right? Groups of Ethiopians would look at me and say, God damn it, are you Ethiopian? And then when they see me talk, they see my mannerism, they say, oh, you're an American. And it something caught my mind. Damn, to Africans and in Africa, near Africa, I'm called an American. But when I'm an American and when I'm in America, I'm being called in Africa, saying neither sides accept me. I also understand that genetically, none of us are going to be the same, because you being on the East Coast in the New Jersey, New York area, you're going to have a lot of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans. My wife's family is from Jamaica on her mother's side. I know that people on the West Coast are going to have admixtures of Pacific Islanders, Filipinos, and Mexicans. I also understand that people in the South are going to be like Florida, maybe even some South Carolina and Georgia area is going to have a lot of Cuban mix, a lot of Trinidadians and Haitians. And then we have to factor in that maybe a generation behind you, 2 generations behind you, 3 generations behind you. I can go to my grandmother right now and she'll tell you that I come from a tribe of natives called Choctaw. My grandma taught me that she comes from a tribe of natives called Kanska. My grandma taught me that she also has German lineage. If you recognize who conquered what area, that means if you in Louisiana, you was probably conquered by the French. Why am I bringing these things up? We have a serious identification crisis because we look at each other and we see something different. I'm gonna see something different just biologically when I look at somebody from New York, somebody from Florida. So if we not defining who's black and who's not, we're going to continue to have a Patrick Mahomes come in, claim your identification, replace you, procreate with a white girl. The baby comes out looking like Stephen Curry. If we don't clearly say, well, look, we got to draw the line somewhere. We can't have Kamala Harris come in and take our rights, take the things that our ancestry fought for. They get the benefits from it, come into our neighborhood, sell us alcohol, sell us old food, sell us fucked up cars, make us work for them in our country because we won't unify and define ourselves. That's a problem.
But we won't unify. Now, you said a lot, right? And I'm going to try to. You want, huh?
I'm sorry for saying so much. I had to get it out.
You good. That's what I want my place for. That's what I want this for. Psycho, you want to add on, Psycho? Anything you want to say, Renaissance Psycho?
Yeah.
I agree with pretty much everything he just said. So I'll go ahead and pass the mic to Renaissance.
All right, well let me hold on, Renaissance. Let me just unpack what he said, and then I'll get the floor to you, brother. Okay, now, bro, you said a lot, right? And now, if we take a step back to the geographical locations and how they were named, and just they were named after conquerors, or they were named after people who called themselves the first people to identify this place or find this place. You know what I'm saying? They found it, right? Now, I understand all that, right? So Africana doesn't really mean African or anything like this. Now, when I say things like that, or if I say African American, and a lot of people hate that descriptor, but see, for me, at the base of our existence is African DNA, right? Americans may have this admixture, that admixture, but at the base of our DNA, if you're African American, is African blood. It's not Mongoloid blood, it's not Caucasoid blood, it's African blood for most of us. If we can have I have 4 black grandparents. No matter how light skinned I am, I have 4 black grandparents, right? I have my siblings are darker than me. I'm the lightest, right? I'm the lightest of my clan. My siblings are darker than me, right? So for me, I don't try to deal in this thing of I'm not African because I don't live in Africa and things of that nature, because I understand that the geographical locations were just named these things, right? Just based on the expedience of naming them, right? Because that's basically what it is, just the expedience of naming them. That's why they name what they're named, right? So for me, it's not necessarily about the geographic location as much as it's about the human, the Homo sapien, right? The African Homo sapien that created my tribe, what people that look like me, right? Africans, right? That's what it's about for me. So if I go to Africa and they label me an American, they're labeling me an American because of the nation that I live in. The flag that where I was born flies as an American flag. They're looking at my nationality, not my race or my ethnicity. So when they see that, that's what that's about. Now, it is much deeper than just having the surface idea of nationality. For me, it's about having the idea of my genetic makeup, which is that of an African strain. So I understand the pushback of not being identified one thing here and being identified one thing there. But I think if we just take away the semantics and deal with the expediency of labeling things, naming things, just to identify it, right? Just for language to be the descriptor. Because that's what all this we're having a talk about semiotics, because these things were just labeled as descriptors so that we can readily identify it and don't got to be running through our brain to try to figure out what it is. So you give it a label, you give it a nomenclature, right? Now I understand the pushback with that, but for me, it's to shed all those labels and to look at the essence of me, which is my African DNA. But I agree with what you're saying. When you go places, it may give you this oddity of being an American, but having to come here and claim African, right? But and again, that's also a label that was given to us to distinguish us from other groups so that we wouldn't be fucked with it as well. So we'll be off limits as well, right? So I understand everything you're saying, but for me, it's taking away the descriptors and standing on my blackness. That's more important than worried about if an African sees me as this or this person sees me as that. I know that I was born in America. I'm of African descent, so that makes me an African American by descriptor, not by who I am as a being, but by national, geographical, and demographical descriptors.
It's on you, Psycho or Renaissance.
Oh, okay. What's up, panel?
Peace.
Yeah, I'm good. I just wanted to address. I think the brother, he was talking about the different skin complexions and how you're perceived, and I was gonna just add into some of that is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you look at lighter skinned people historically in the black community, they've been the byproducts of basically mixed race relationships, back in the day before it was legal, and that's where you got some of your HBCUs from and things like that. So you have people who are lighter skinned, who are more educated, have more opportunities. So just from that alone, it's gonna kind of reinforce that stereotype of if you are someone who is a darker shade, you probably didn't have those opportunities historically, and that's just going to contribute. So it's kind of self-fulfilling in that way, the way things work. I just wanted to kind of point that out. And then on top of on the whole black piece, for me, I just kind of look at it in the sense of I know people want to say black is based on this genetics or this many grandparents, but for me, it's an experience. Um, whether we like it or not, people who are black were put in the category because they were not white. White people didn't see them that way, and that's been essentially how we've operated. So for me, I mean, when you have an interaction with someone, you can tell with, okay, this person identifies as black just for having that interaction, talking to them, and this person doesn't. And to me, you can tell too with who people associate with, things like that. So for me, I understand when people want to define themselves, but to me, I think it just takes away from the historic cohesion of, hey, people who have been black have been, unfortunately, because of the society we've lived in, have been people who white people didn't see as white. And it's worked for us though. People, we've progressed, we've made change in this country. We are some of the major influencers in this country. But I understand where people are coming from when they want to say, hey, I want to draw the line. I just think there's a lot of history you're going to lose if you draw that line that way.
See, that's how I always looked at it, Renaissance. Like, so now we're describing these mixed breed people as separate, but what about all the ones that contributed to our success? Like, that's my thing. Like, I feel like we're going in a time capsule, and we're saying, okay, those people were black, but this is the cutoff line. So I'm just trying to understand how, like, those people who have mixed ancestry that helped us get to where we are, who's back 150 years, 200 years, the W.E. Du Bois, the Frederick Douglasses, right? Who were slaves of who were kids of slave owners. Do we call them half-breeds and say, well, Frederick Douglass ain't a part of black history no more because, it's ambiguity about it. So that's my thing. And I haven't really got a clear answer on how we determine that, but, that's why we have conversations.
They'll be looked at like John Brown.
But John Brown was white. John Brown was a white man.
He was he'll be looked at, they'll be looked at as non-black people that helped out black people throughout the course of history in this country. That's what they'll be looked at. Because at the end of the day, are they looked at like that now? Do we look at them like that now? Do we say they're traditionally no, but that needs to stop though, because the biracials have a history in this country as well, and they don't have their own unique history. They share the history with us, and it's crazy because y'all have to understand, they only call black because they couldn't be called white, right? That's the only reason why this is accepted.
They couldn't be called white, or white people don't want to call them white.
White people didn't want
white
to.
People don't want to call them white. I wouldn't call them white either. But
Psycho, look at someone like Homer Plessy. Homer Plessy could literally pass for a white man. But when he was getting on the train, someone recognized his family member, and they said, "Hey, he has an eighth of his family is someone black, so he's not white."
Right, that's
Christmas
one drop.
Atticus should come to mind. Sorry for cutting you off.
I said Christmas Atticus first. I said him when I started the program.
He was more native than African, but I'm sorry for interrupting you, Psycho.
No, it's all good. And speaking of more native than African, like Russell Wilson's father was actually an Eskimo, right? He was an Eskimo. I said South Pacific Islander in the chat. I was mistaken. He actually was Eskimo, right? So that's what I mean. So he's Mongoloid and Negroid. he's not fully black. He's well, numbers are fully black, but you understand what I mean.
But his grandfather, his grandfather on his father and his mother's side are black.
No.
Yeah, his grandfather's not an Eskimo. His grandmother is an Eskimo. Russell Wilson's grandmother has Eskimo and black blood, but Russell Wilson's grandfather is a black man.
So
Russell Wilson's grandfather was the president of Norfolk State University.
Okay. I apologize for interrupting. So we're going to just ignore the 23 chromosomes that come from each side just to be able to classify somebody as black?
Well, see, for me, when you guys say that, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is this. We have to look on the genetic spectrum, right? Which genetic marker is the strongest marker? And the African marker has been shown to be the strongest marker out of the strongest.
I have to push back against that term. I think that what you're trying to express is the amount of melanocytes that will be expressed based upon photonic sunlight. That is
right. That means the stronger expression, right? It's a strong the impression
because if we take the same African and put them in the Antarctic, they will not survive as easy as somebody else that has different genetic markers. So by saying strong,
right? But that's based on that genetic marker. That's based on that genetic. That the people who survive Antarctica, the Mongoloids that survive up there, survive based on them having years of being there and establishing the physical characterizations to deal with it, right? Adaptation, right? I'm sorry, adaptation.
Something else I keep hearing, and I'm talking too much, so I'm gonna shut up. Is we keep using the word black and African synonymously. We have to, and I said this to you. We got to go back to when Johann Blumenbach created the concept of race and pushing back against Darwin's origin of speciation when he started to measure people based on skeleton size. And he classified people in certain groups, not knowing how much. And there was no train then, fellas. There was no idea of an airplane. They had no idea that the human population would explode like it did and intermingle. So when we're using classifications like Mongoloid and Negroid, Negro is a Portuguese Spanish terminology. And
hold on real quick. This is the thing, bro. I understand what you're saying, right? But though, like again, those descriptors was the expedient descriptors at the time. Evolving thoughts, preeminent thoughts. The evolution of science will create new nomenclatures, right? Like, I understand what you're saying when you simplify the nomenclatures to a complexity of what race, what genetic is, bone structure thing. I understand that totally. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole when we're all smart enough to know that these descriptors was just in place for the expedience of knowledge and expedience of time.
Psycho or having an argument, or not even an argument, you're having a very intellectual, you're breaking it down. Is Russell Wilson black like me? His parents are coming from somewhere where Eskimos exist, Alaska.
Well, no, one grandparent came from there.
My grandparents come from right here in like Tennessee and North Carolina and Georgia.
That's where his people come from, though.
That we trace that back to somebody that was snatched from.
But that's where his people come from, though. His people they come from the South. It's just one person had sex with somebody that wasn't from the South.
He's different.
No. His grandfather is educational supremacy in Norfolk, right? With that whole black HBCU, Hampton, Norfolk State thing. Like, he's a part of that boule shit. Like literally, his grandfather is like the black bourgeoisie of Southern Virginia. That the southern coast of Virginia, the Hampton Roads area, like literally. Like I mean, yeah. Like you can look at his pictures. You can see his dad in a Norfolk State uniform and shit. You know what I mean? You can see it. Like it's everywhere. Now I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like you can see that his dad has that. I guess you would call it Eskimo or Polynesian look to him. But at the same time, the grandfather's a black man. And these pictures you can look, is plenty of pictures of the grandfather or the father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just go back to, because I'm assuming both of them are basically saying, hey, if you got 4 black grandparents, that's what you want to make the definition of black, correct?
Well, my limit is you gotta have at least 3, right? You gotta have at least 3. I prefer 4, but you gotta have at least 3. That's my standard.
But because my whole thing is there's so many people, going back to what Arthur was saying, that have done so much who wouldn't fall into that category. I mean, someone like Dr. Steve Perry, he's mixed, and look at all that he's trying to do for the black community. What I was going to ask someone, correct me if I'm wrong, would Malcolm X even fit under your definition? Because
he had 3 black grandparents.
What wasn't his mom from like West Indian or something?
Well, I wasn't
Dirty Red.
His mom was half white.
Yeah,
his mom was mixed.
Yeah,
and her white side of the family struggled with. That's where the mental illness came in at.
Yeah, his father was black though. He had 3 black grandparents.
The mental illness came from his mom's side of the family because I read a book about the mental illness in his family and his mom's family, because his mom had a mental breakdown just like his grandson had a mental breakdown.
Yes. So for me, it's just like you just look at all the contributions, and to me, I guess I don't see the point in dividing like that if you have people who are contributing so much.
Well, they can contribute. That's fine. I mean, they can contribute. I don't like that. To me, contributor doesn't make you black, because it's been non-black people contributed throughout our history. I mean, you look at the Underground Railroad. That wasn't all Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman had white people that would let her camp out in certain spots and everything throughout the whole course of the trip. But those white people aren't black. That was actually helping those black people. So,
I guess then what's the point of dividing people in that sense? Because you could make the argument there are people with 4 black grandparents who have done more to harm black people.
And that's what that movie showed me.
What you're explaining right now is pro-black, right? Like I will like pro-black is a mindset, right? Like I agree, there's a lot of black people that aren't pro-black, right? That's why we got the whole term coon. But black is in itself is not a mindset. That is actually genetics. So that's a little bit different. You got the mindset and then you got genetics. So
I think, well, to kind of piggyback off his question, Psycho, when we look at the like I noticed 2 things that y'all said, right? I noticed that the narrative, the overlying narrative is that biracials are somehow being placed in positions of power that African Americans somehow are not, right? Like we look at Obama, we look at Kamala Harris, and a lot of African Americans, a lot of ADOS people feel as though these 2 people were handpicked and put in front of the world as symbols of blackness.
Hey,
now,
Arthur, let me jump in real quick on that. But there were black people who did that as well. When you look at like the black elite that got behind Kamala Harris and Barack Obama, I mean, there's articles, people like Spike Lee, other well-to-do black people meeting up in, Martha's Vineyards, places like that, a couple years ago saying, hey, this is the candidate, this is who we want to get behind for president. And you had a bunch of black celebrities and other black people who wrote a letter saying, hey, we want her to be the vice presidential pick. So, I mean, I get what they're saying, but there have been plenty of, ADOS full black people who have supported these people and said, hey, these are the best qualified we feel to lead. And some of it, truth be told, like I said, it goes back to self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you look at someone like Obama's legacy, I think he's somehow his family relates back to what's his name, the first black diplomat who won the Nobel Prize, Ralph Bunche. Like he's related to him. So I mean, some of it just goes back to
and his wife is related to Dick Cheney. You know what I'm saying?
Some of it just goes back to self-fulfilling, like I said, self-fulfilling prophecies and connections, and just how people have more opportunities and were educated. But we've had plenty of people who were full black who've had leadership. Look at Vernon Jordan, the influence he had during the Clinton administration.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Let's not make it seem like it's not darker skinned people that wasn't educated, wasn't fully capable of having these jobs. They just chose to pick somebody over them. So like, because it's almost like we painting this picture like they was the only educated people, and the darker skinned people was unable to be educated. No,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like when you
at all.
I'm just saying like when you look at why like some of the HBCUs were set up, you had mulattoes who basically they said, okay, we're gonna educate
like
them.
the alphas and
but that goes, all that goes back, all that, and not to cut you guys off, but all that goes back to even the Ivy League with what the British did, right? The Ivy League was created for the British to educate, or the new people to educate the prisoners' kids that started America, right? It was their training program, right? And that's what they seen with the mulatto kids. It was like, okay, they're not ours. We're not going to bring them into our group, but we'll educate them so that they can go and educate those people, because we don't want to do it. It's almost like they subcontracted out to the biracials to come back and fuck with us. That's how I see it.
That's a tradition in American history, is the mulattoes get to come into the big house. If you can have a child that can at least resemble the white skin, then we take them from out of the back, and you can actually pass for white and sneak in through the front. But I want to bring in, or we going, and if you hit me with the tinfoil, I can understand. But I think that there's some significance to the Frank Marshall Davis story in relation to Barack Obama. I think that there's some relevance to that story. All right, you had a little white girl from Kansas, and she was involved with a lot of, the black movements of that time. And it's rumored that Frank Marshall Davis out of Chicago is really Barack Obama's true father. Now, how true that is, we don't know.
Yeah, I could see. For me, I understand what you guys are saying, but I think that, like, Psycho says something very poignant to me that stood out, right? He said, you guys act like there wasn't dark complected people who was just as knowledgeable but my thing is this, right? Like, did these people put themselves out there to be presidents and be senators and because Karen Mosley Brown was a senator before Obama, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I understand what you guys are saying.
Ben Carson, ring a bell?
Ben Carson, right? Like, I mean, no, Alan Keyes, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's been, matter of fact, there was black senators. The first black senator was from Massachusetts, right? Like, I forgot his name, right? But he was
Evan Burke.
Right, he wasn't dark skinned, like he wasn't light skinned.
Patrick, you talking about the Governor Patrick?
No, not Duval Patrick. It was back in the 70s. No, it wasn't back in the 70s. It was a black Edwin Burke. That's his name. He just Edwin Brooke, right? Brook, right?
Yeah,
Brooke, right?
Brooke or
right.
Burke, one or two.
Right, and he just, you know what I'm saying? He was a black senator from Massachusetts. Like, people think the South is racist. The South ain't got shit on Boston.
Yeah, Massachusetts is pretty bad. Yeah,
the South ain't got shit on Boston or Massachusetts. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Providence. Yeah, Providence. What's the name? They got shit on. You know what I mean? So when we put forth that idea that these people were handpicked, right, and put to the thing, I guess we can trace it back to that. But my thing is it because white America? Because this is what I always say, right? We all know that a black man wasn't going to be the first president of the United States of America, right? We all know that, right? We can all identify that, right?
But I mean, when you say that, I feel like that brings in like
though?
No.
Go ahead.
No, are you talking about just a skin color, Arthur? Or are you talking about
skin color, and rooted in ADOS. I mean, rooted in ADOS, where all his pictures got big mamas, you know what I'm saying? Got hard-working black men with overalls, and when you scan his background, everybody in that bitch, black. And when I mean by black, you don't see the admixture is far down the line, right? We all know that person wouldn't have been the president, and why? It wasn't because black people. It's because white people, even democratic white people,
but to
would have fought tooth and nail to make sure that person didn't represent this country, because they've already told the rest of the world that ain't shit. Like, beware of that. We don't want it posters.
But how many of those people have stepped forward and be like, hey, I got the qualifications and I'm going to do it? Going back to what you were saying. I can't think of anyone who really. I mean, when Jesse ran, you didn't think Jesse was really going to win. It was more.
But that was Jesse's payoff for getting Martin killed. Like that wasn't really real. That was just his payoff. Right. That was just a down payment on the fuck shit he did 20 years earlier. Yeah. Right?
Because with me, I just don't like. I mean, I'm not trying to pull the racist trope, but I mean, I'm looking for someone to step forward and say like, hey, who represent? Obama step forward and say, hey, I'm going to do this. See,
that's my thing, Renaissance. I feel like that's how I feel. I feel like, wait a minute, like y'all blaming these people, but these motherfuckers went and put their hat in the ring. Like if they wouldn't have put their hat in the ring, they wouldn't be where they at. Like they had to make the step. Now they may got carried on some shoulders, but they had to make the initial step. So my thing is, can y'all identify the people who didn't make who made the initial step and was rejected and wasn't,
Because I mean, I look at someone like Marion Barry, who he didn't run for president, but he was won the award for best mayor of all mayors in America.
I think we don't give enough credit to the kingmakers, the what's name Browns in San Francisco.
Yeah, Willie Brown.
Yeah, we allow people like Tariq Nasheed to demean our political stalwarts. Like our black political stars that are ADOS.
And truth be told, look at Psycho and
hold on. Let's get Psycho. Let's get Psycho in there real quick.
I just wanted to quickly say, look at someone like Barbara Jordan.
Okay, right. Oh hell yeah. Go ahead, Psycho.
No, I was just gonna say, bring it back around full circle. The first black person to run for mayor in Oakland was Bobby Seale.
Oh shit!
And
I didn't even think about that. Oh shit! I didn't even think about that, bro. Damn. Right. So I mean, my thing is, are we dissecting this properly when we point at the biracials as the issue? Because we're making them an issue right now. Like ADOS people are making biracials and their political and social and entertainment success. We're starting to be like, whoa, who the fuck let these motherfuckers in? Right? Like, and I felt that way about this dude playing this British dude playing Fred Hampton. Like, I'm like, wait a minute.
That bothered me. That bothered the shit out of me. I'm like, is this the only black guy working in Hollywood now?
Fuck? Wait a minute. So
he's getting every movie that got anything to do with a black person, he's in it. Like I'm getting sick of it. Like,
so the dude in The Wire that played Marlo, that motherfucker ain't good enough to play Fred Hampton. That motherfucker dope.
Yeah.
Where's his career at?
It's insane.
Right, like that's my thing. And see, and that's what. So now we can uncover what's really going on because it's others that's putting them, and then we're fighting about it. Right, that's what the movie was about. Right, like the movie was literally about these motherfuckers coming in, right, doing all this fuck shit, putting all these other people as a representation of us, and then we're fighting about it.
Right. But the biracial thing is the bigger problem, and I'm gonna pass the mic real quick because it's about lineage, right? It's about diluting ourselves out. We don't want to become Brazil, right? Like we see what's going on, and at the end of the day, it's like, okay, the fastest growing demographic in this country is biracial. The fastest growing, they're not the most, but they are the fastest growing in numbers since 1980. You can look at the numbers; it's staggering. So that's my issue. I'll pass the mic.
Now, I was going to quickly say it was just to me that's Hollywood in the sense I don't expect Hollywood to get it right. I expect the BS. I expect the watered down whitewash version from them. I think when you take it back to real life, I even look at someone like Fannie Lou Hamer, who was the movement, face of civil rights movement and the Democratic Freedom Party movement. Granted she wasn't elected, but black woman, black woman. And so I think it goes back to, hey, people want these people. They got to step up and say, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, I agree with that because I look at the beef between Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, right? Where Du Bois thought his talented tip and his biracialness should be more appealing to the masses because that's what he was sent to do. Like Du Bois was raised to be a talented tip, to go out and train the masses and integrate them into the talented tip, or the 10% that they thought would be, would be a viable option. That's why, see, this is the language that RBR uses, right? He calls himself the 10% and all this and that. And then what does he do? He talks down to us, right? And see, that's the problem. We have to identify where this miscommunication is coming from, and all these, what I'm going to say, it's a lot of issues in our community when it comes to race, right? When it comes to who is or who will belong to us, who don't belong to us, right? Like, and that's weird and strange, because now it's just not, we're not just having the white black thing, we're having the black Korean thing, or like Kamala Harris is black and Indian, right? So it's no longer just that intimate relationship that we were all used to, where now immigration and time has put in this position where now black men are sleeping with women from all kind of nations, and black women are having babies with men from all other nations. So we're at a crossroads where we're throwing people away that was traditionally aligned with us, and saying, well, you guys are in the middle, you guys are on your own, you don't belong to us because you got a black mama and an Indian daddy, so go stand over there. And my thing is, if they say they're black, are we to tell them that they're not?
Yes, we are.
Wow.
Because we have to draw the line. And I've been waiting to express this, because you got children like I got children. One of our kids decided to go outside of what we prototypically call the black community. They have a child with a white person, and now the white family is also involved with the family. So now you're going to have an interpersonal struggle about what values to instill in that child. You're going to have the white family wanting to instill their culture, their way of life, their diet, their religions, and then you're going to have the black family. So we have to be able to draw the line and say, hold on, you're not going to whitewash us, have us walking out here looking like Logic the rapper, claiming to be us, Rachel Dolezal's passing as black to take advantage of political aspirations that we went in and acquired for ourselves. If we don't draw that line, we'll continue to be exploited. So even within your own family structure, even I'm gonna have to face that looking at my daughters and what they like, they're gonna like white boys because of the image that black people have portrayed. And I've always pushed my kids to keep it black, okay, so prototypically. But naturally, seeing the way the world is going, the way that media affects a child, I can't force my children to like something. They see how gangster and hood we're portrayed, and then she goes into schools and she see how it's playing out in her real life. She goes out in society, she see how it's playing in her real life. She meets a white boy, he a little bit soft, but she can control him. She gonna go have a baby. I'm gonna have to deal with the fact my grandchild coming home saying, I don't like niggers, because of something that child heard on the other side of the family. Where do I draw the line?
Can I just say this?
Sorry.
See, that's the whole thing with your economic pursuits. You, Mr. Intelligent Motherfucker, going to be a nurse. You're going to put your family in a better environment. I told my homeboy this the other day when his daughter brought home and son brought home a white girl. Right? He upstairs with his hand in his head because he done spent 20 years on the block. He was a kingpin. Right? Turned his life around, got his company, moved his family out to Bucks County, right? Suburban part of Philly. All the kids that be in his house is a bunch of white kids, right? And now he's perplexed. And I said to him, you remember the conversation we had on the porch that day? You said you got to get out the hood, right? And you had to get your babies a better education, this, that, and the third. You opened them up to diversity. You open them up to other options. You guys, economic pursuits, put your kids in a position where their options is diverse.
You have so dope like me. Having a college degree, I've made 10 times the amount of money I've made hustling in the street selling dope. And I don't got to look over my shoulder.
We don't.
Your child had to visit you at the hospital because you've been shot.
They had to visit me at jail, bro. That's even worse.
Okay, good. Your children had to visit you in jail. Your
That's
children
even
got to see you walking around with pistols because somebody at the back door probably trying to break in. Your children.
I went through it all, bro.
Gunshots in the community. Am I a responsible father? Am I a logical man?
Bro, I agree with you 100. Listen, I'm with you 100. I'm with you 100%.
You're gonna get burglarized because I'm making too much money.
But bro, listen. I'm not knocking what you're saying. I'm with you. But what you guys gotta understand is you guys are in a complex situation, in a very serious situation, because your pursuit to be better and evolve puts your kids in a position where now diversity and people that look like them are going to be limited.
But here's the thing, Arthur. I'll say this. Here's a real conundrum in the sense, you could argue that middle class and really the black upper class did not build a space for people who wanted, for just, you know, in the sense of if you wanted a real just black community, that space doesn't exist. So you're kind of left with, hey, if I want to move out of the hood, I've got to move to, you know, a neighborhood where my kids are going to go to school with, you know, white kids or, you know, Asian kids and things like that. And I think that, you know, if we really want to keep it in that sense, we have to create a space where there's a space for middle class and upper middle class black kids to just be in a black environment. And the institutions, but as you go up, it's just you get exposed to more people. You on mute, Arthur.
That's always been my logic behind it, right? Like the whole biracial explosion is just based on black people making more money. I mean, being more successful, right? Like most of the NBA biracials are children of NBA players, right? Or players who didn't make it to the NBA who were college players. Like people don't know, like a Tony Parker, he from France, but Tony Parker father from the south side of Chicago.
That's true,
right?
But Arthur, we've always those athletes always have biracial kids. That's nothing new. But the explosion with the biracials is happening in the community. You know, like average everyday black people. Like that's where the explosion.
I mean, right, but not where we live at, Psycho. Like that shit ain't the norm where we live.
I'm talking about like out like
in the Midwest, right? Midwest, the South, Seattle, right? That's why I tell people. That's why I tell people all the time, right? In New Jersey, like if you go South Jersey, you might see it a little bit. You might see it by the shore. You might see it in the South, in the Alabama part of New Jersey.
What? I'm confused. You might see
mixed couples, biracials, mixed couples, black and white couples. That's not prevalent here. Like where me and Psycho live at, you might see 1 out of 100. You might see one black dude with a white girl out of 100 black dudes, right? Or the most what you'll see out here is a lot of black dudes with Puerto Rican baby mamas. Right? Or African baby mamas or Haitian baby mamas. But my thing is
that's the mixing you see out here. Yeah, that's
right.
The mixing you see here.
Right. But my thing is it's not only in the Midwest, but I think it's the economic. I really believe that it's more successful as black people become. That's what Hoover, that's what the movie was about. And that was his whole thing. We can't have this young man teaching these people how to get on point on their own. We can't have him teaching them to be doctors and lawyers and come back and help their community and shit like that, because then they're going to get the economics and they're going to have the mobility to come and be in our shit and change our shit. That's what that movie, that's what the whole shit was about, and them trying to stop. For me, in my opinion.
You are so on point, but are we going to ignore? We got rappers now called Miss Mulatto. You got people, even though I disagree, I have a chocolate woman. Even in this space, they'll make fun of my woman and all kind of stuff. I laugh at it because she firing a motherfucker, but trip off how Kodak Black comes out and he makes these expressions about dark-skinned women are ugly. You have Lil Wayne with a dark-skinned daughter will come out. Dark-skinned women are ugly.
Fact.
Do you see the blood? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Psycho. No,
I was just saying facts. Keep going.
You see the glorification. Even last night on GMT panel, they chose Neon.
And that is ugly.
I'm hoping he's trolling because she looked horrible in that picture.
Horrible in that picture. She looked like Enemy Minds in that picture.
Fuck.
Enemy Minds. That shit. I was like, what
even
the
in
fuck?
The black manosphere, there is a worship for a white woman or anything close to it. Meaning that those efforts made by the Black Panther, George Jackson, Angela Davis, all these people who risked their lives, all that history is now, it's a joke. It's laughable. You'll be laughed out the room. Even in the hood, if I talk like this or about stuff like this, I don't know how it is in New Jersey. In New York, it's a lot more conscious. But where I'm from, man, you better shut the fuck up with that bullshit. I mean,
you get it. You get it, right? You get it. You get it, but you get it more from cats that's making money. Like, you know, you see them pull up with the bad light skinned baddie, you know what I mean? The young girl or the bad light skinned chick from the hood. You see it. I mean, nothing's changed. The light skinned baby hair girl still reigns supreme in the hood. You know what I mean? Nothing's changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's still the norm, right?
So,
but I want to take a step back.
The women are being pushed toward David West. You see him getting a chance.
Right. Right. Yeah, like, that was crazy. But
I'm sorry.
I want to take a step back. And like, it's with the two people you brought up, Lil Wayne and Kodak Black, right? Now I'm gonna say with them, Kodak Black, he's not American. He's not African American. He a West Indian immigrant, right? And the thing is, right, what happened is when they got money and they got class and they changed classes, that's when their perception of blackness changed. Right? So it goes all the way, it's full circle back to the money, right? As our economics grow, our options grow, and I use this analogy all the time, even though Psycho be shooting my shit out the water, I use this analogy all the time. I be like, Psycho, imagine a young black football player go all the way out to Boise, Idaho, right? And he the star in Boise, Idaho, he was Boise State football team, he's a star, right? Black man. And he's from a predominantly black community, but he's been out there for 4 or 5 years. If he finds love with a white woman, how the fuck are we gonna be mad at him when that's the proximity of where he's at? It may be we may lose a soldier in the fight, but damn, his athletic prowess, his talent put him in a different pool. So it's going to be hard for us to convince him that he can find love outside of that pool if that's the pond he's swimming in. That's all I'm saying.
But I'll ask you too, Arthur. Why do you say that we lost a soldier? Because I mean, even if you
Psycho and them see them as lost soldiers.
Okay.
Anybody that procreate with a white person, they can contribute, but like Malcolm X told the white woman, it's not much you can do for us.
Okay. Because the thing I was going to say is, the thing that gets construed is people think that, okay, if you marry outside of your race, you all of a sudden, you're still, at the end of the day, you're still black. Police pull you over, you still going to have to deal with harassment from the police. You still got black family members on your side of the family, which I hope you care about. So it's not like you can just, wipe yourself clean in the black community like that.
But if you have a child with a non-black person, you're compromised. You're not going to go but so far. You're always going to be a person that said, we all bleed red. Race is just a social construct. Try to minimize race altogether. You see examples of this all the time with biracials or people that's involved with a non-black person. They minimize race altogether, and they treat, they'll say wild things like racism no longer exists and everything else. It's just they're compromised. They have to do this because they're involved with somebody who wasn't black.
Hey, Psycho, can I say this real quick? Can I say this real quick, and then Renaissance, then you, D. Can I say this real quick? I understand what you're saying, but I hear that race doesn't matter more from black people than I hear from biracials. I've rarely, if ever, heard a biracial person say
that either in relationships with non-blacks.
No. I mean, I'm talking about. Well, I don't know if the people are in a relationship with non-blacks, but I hear that more on Mo's channel and in BMT space, and from people like other people than I hear that from biracials. I hear that more.
People that mess with white women. All these people you mentioned, don't they mess with
white women? I don't know. I don't know what their mating. I don't know what their mating habits are. I don't know what their mating habits.
I'm not sure about BMT.
No, I'm not. Yeah, but for me, I feel like I hear that more from black people than I hear from biracials. I rarely, if ever, like my thing is for me, my standard was when Derek Jeter was like, "I'm a black man," right? Like, so if they identify as black, I'm not fighting with them on that. But go ahead. Yeah. Renaissance, then action.
No. I was just saying, because Psycho was saying, yeah, they can't do much for us. Which I mean, to me, I go back to it in the sense it's certain people who have these attitudes, and like Arthur said, I hear more full black people who will make comments like that than I'll hear from someone who's biracial. I was gonna ask you, Psycho, real quick, like, what do you think about someone like Kaepernick?
He's not black.
He's not black. Yeah, he's not black. He tries to. He puts on the impression that he tries to fight for the movement. Some people question that. Sometimes I do myself, but he's not black. No, he's just somebody who just identifies as black, and the country identifies him as black, but I don't.
But the thing is, with him.
Hold on, Renaissance. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to quickly ask him.
Renaissance, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
So black people can come from a black child can come from between the legs of a European, i.e., white woman. A black child can come out of the belly of a white woman.
Yes. If you're going off of what we base blackness on.
Let's look at the equal opposite then. So you telling me that a white child can come from the belly of a black woman?
No.
Okay, well, how is one equal and the other is not?
I go by what we've historically measured blackness by. I don't try to change it. That's why.
Colin Kaepernick is black to me.
But
without genetic inheritance, how can you get to black if there's no genealogical connection? Black didn't just fall out the sky.
Right, because we're the origins of everybody. So as they migrated, we kicked them out, and they evolved into other things. We still dominant on the food chain.
Hey, see, let's not go down this rabbit hole because the Neanderthal speciation does not come out of Africa.
Right, because the Neanderthal is not a homo. Right, but okay, listen. Hold on. A Neanderthal or a Cro-Magnon is not a Homo sapien.
I didn't say a Cro-Magnon.
No, I'm just using a humanoid, a symbol of a humanoid.
Paleontology.
Right?
If I'm speaking in paleontology, a Cro-Magnon differs from a Neanderthal.
Yes.
To assume that all hominid species
they were not hominids.
Came out of one.
They were not hominids.
Hold on, AC. If that was true, then we would all be Australians and not Africans, because the Australopithecus
is not first.
It's called Austral because it comes.
But he's not first.
Wait, AC. It's called that because they come from Australia.
I know this already. You heard me talk about this on Western.
If you ever travel to Australia, you will see the closest relative to the beginning of the human species, which is the Aboriginal.
The Aborigines are not
we can do that paleontology later. But the whenever we, as a nurse, whenever I'm tracing a RH blood type, whether it's in an A, B, or AB blood type, and I'm looking for the RH blood type, that goes primarily to people of European descent, directly coming from the Neanderthal hominid species that did not come from Africa. So we got a problem there. By saying
the Neanderthal, listen. I don't know who made this shit up, but a Neanderthal did not mix with no goddamn Homo sapien and make nothing.
Oh, come on. Where you get the RH blood type?
Nothing.
Let's not even go down that rabbit hole.
Nothing.
We have a problem if we're going to say that a black child. We have a problem if you have a psychosis in your mind. If you think that a white woman can carry your child out of her stomach and that child come out black, but equally if a white man impregnates a black woman, that somehow her DNA overpowers that man and that's a white child.
That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. This is the thing, right? This is what I don't understand when we have this conversation, right? The majority of us come from admixture, right? Now, when slavery broke up, we weren't in the same proximity. Massa couldn't rape us en masse like he was before, so we were left to our own devices. So we were back to humping each other. So we were back in close quarters proximity. We lived with each other. They kind of corralled us all in the same spot. So we were able to rebuild our numbers back, black on black, right? African on African, black on black. So we were able to get our numbers back and kind of dilute the white blood. But at the end of the day, the beginning of our origins was primarily admixture, right? And when the dynamics of our nation changed, the dynamics to have admixture continuing was kind of made obsolete because now we were no longer in bondage. We were kind of what you would call pseudo-free. So we were on our own. So we were allowed to fester in our own tribes and become not anew, but refresh and replenish the melanin within the system, right? Now, those people that created us and allowed for that continuous to happen once we were out of bondage and we were in our own tribe and we got to interact together intimately, once that happened, we began to identify blackness through what we seen phenotype. Hold on, let me finish.
The identity black was given to you. Once upon a time, they called you colored.
Right, but that's the thing. Listen, I understand that, but that's just again, that's just descriptors in games of semantics, in games of expedient acknowledgement, expedient tracing, and expedient label.
If it wasn't, we wouldn't be confused about is Colin Kaepernick black.
Hold on, bro. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Like you and me.
Who?
Nipsey Hussle.
No, well, he's African. Nipsey Hussle is African.
He's treated as if he's black like me and you.
But that's because of where he grew up in the hood, right? Like that's because America see his skin color and see what he looks like and identify him as a black man. But the people, but his people are black. They are African. They ain't gonna tell you that they anything but African.
You should have hit me over the head and said, "Well, look at Huey Newton. You gonna discount him?"
But Huey Newton is black.
But he's a little bit high yellow. Angela Davis.
I'm high yellow. I'm black.
So we gonna struggle between who
and that's the point that I'm trying to get to. What's happened is now that we see the biracials at the forefront, we're able to identify them by their skin color or hair texture and things of that nature, and we're able to say you're not black. Right? Because we had that period of time to play catch up and strengthen our ranks far as it comes to melanin, far as it comes to us knowing that we had 4 black grandparents, or we could trace our ancestry back to black people, right? And because we've been able to do that, right? Because we had that time period to do that, now we're in a position where people like you and Psycho are saying, okay, we got our numbers up. I'm black, I'm dark skinned. That person is not black. If that person mixed with that white person, that baby is not black. Now, for me, I think it's the opposite end of what Hoover was about, right? Hoover thing was don't fuck up our bloodline because you're gonna fuck up our shit. But white people coming into our bloodline ain't gonna fuck up our shit. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Them mixing in our bloodline ain't gonna fuck our shit up.
Yeah. I want to quickly ask Psycho on the Kaepernick piece. I hear people questioning them. Do they question the full, black players in NFL who have 3-4 black grandparents who haven't taken a stand against the things he have? It seems like there's more smoke for him than there is for smoke for players who haven't done that.
I don't got no smoke for Kaepernick. I've defended him times. I've criticized him certain times. I don't have no smoke for him. I stood up for his right to, sit. Well, I had a problem with him taking a knee because I think that's a sign of submission, right? You get down on a knee, that's a sign of submission. I felt like if you was really going to protest the flag, you would sit down and bring your back to the flag. That's the proper
that sucker ass Ranger told him that dumbass shit, Psycho. That white Ranger told him that stupid ass shit. Like, and I swear to God, I wish I would have ran into that motherfucking Ranger. Like, man, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, don't come in here and tell this motherfucker that this shit is about the flag and all that shit. That stupid, goofy shit, but that ain't the truth. See, that's this is my take on Colin Kaepernick. My take on Colin Kaepernick is he the half-breed cousin, right, that came to the black cookout and seen his black relatives get mistreated and then thought he was going to go out there and have a calm conversation with the cops. And they ended up having to show his black ass that he black. That's my take on Colin Kaepernick. And instead of Colin Kaepernick letting one of his black relatives take up for the black family, he put his ass in it, and he shouldn't. My thing is he spoke out of turn. Shut the fuck up. It's enough black people that can speak for it. Kind of like what Renaissance is saying. Right? Like, in essence, if we're going to be mad at anybody, we should be mad at the black people who don't step up and let all these biracials fill in the gap. Because that's what Colin Kaepernick did. He thought, and that's what the whole beef was between him and other people. Like, that's why it was factions. That's why the dude that played, that used to play for the Eagles, that now plays for the Saints, that's what that was about. I just feel like Colin Kaepernick was out of place, out of pocket.
Who is Clarence Jowers?
I heard the name
of the man who created the 5%.
No, Clarence X. Clarence X, not Clarence.
Clarence Smith
Well,
or Clarence Jowers?
What's his old name, Psycho? Because we was just talking about him the other day.
Clarence Jowers or Clarence Smith?
What's his? Is Clarence X? Is Clarence Jowers?
Oh, you talking about the
Clarence X?
Clarence X?
Yeah.
13X. Clarence 13X.
Yeah, Clarence 13X.
You can call him Clarence 13X, but that was when he joined the Nation of Islam. Before that, he was Clarence Jowers or Clarence Smith.
Right.
There's a confusion about his last name, right? How come most so-called black people don't know that? Do you know that he was an extremely dark brown person that had a huge impact on?
I was a 5%er.
Why did he separate from the 5%? Because he said no half original
is going to tell me what to do. Right.
So what happens when black people do step up? They are forgotten. Don't nobody know him. What about
shit? You crazy as hell.
A lot of people.
Where we live at, listen. Where we live at, Clarence X is God.
Yeah, they call him God. A lot of people don't.
You said Clarence Jowers. I don't know him as Clarence Jowers. I know him as Clarence. I was a 5%er. My name was Born God Allah Shaquem Ruler. I was a 5%er.
I'm a 5%er, but how come we don't know his name? How come we don't know Putin's full story? What he called Putin? How come we don't know?
Well, this is why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because he was a underground.
So
you know what I mean? He came.
Did he step
No,
up?
listen to what I'm saying to you. Let me finish. He was a deviant culture god, right? He was a martyr in the deviant culture because the 5% nation was born from the prisons.
And
right?
It was local at the time. It wasn't a national movement like
right. That's what I'm saying. It's the 5% nation got its start like by brothers coming home from prison, bro. Real talk. Psycho, Philly minute, Psycho.
Let me say something because I'm a 5%er too. I'll tell you when I was born out. Listen, it wasn't born out the prison culture. The prison culture got a hold of it and found a way to reform themselves.
Tomato, man.
It started off with him connecting with the Pookies and Ray Rays on the block.
Right, That's what it started
off
with.
5% in prison. I learned.
No, I'm saying. Well, this is what I'm saying to you. When I said that, this is what you got to understand. Actually, when I said that, bro, this is what you got to understand. What I'm saying is, a lot of brothers that came home from prison brought into that ideology. They wasn't disciplined enough to buy into the whole Islamic thing of getting on your knees. So it was a hybrid. Right, so it was a hybrid.
Hip hop had a lot to do with it in the 80s and the 90s. In the 80s and 90s, right? That hip hop expanded. That's what made it a national thing.
Can y'all give me a second? Hey, listen, hold on. Can y'all give me 1 second, please? Listen to the troll that's in here fucking with Aries. I don't know who the fuck that is. Celeste, if that's you or any of you, like this ain't Aries channel. This is AC Star's channel. This is not Aries channel. So please don't come over here with that shit. If you want to beef with Aries show up at a lot of people's channels. Take that shit over there. Like I don't get it. I don't get why you would come to my channel and fuck my channel up and bring that shit to my channel because you mad at Aries. Like y'all gotta get it together. And it's just white people, because who gonna name themselves Bad Sergeant? See, this is what I'm saying. Like these guys, and this is probably not even a white person, this is probably a black person that's mad at Aries for some shit that happened over at a white page.
I love this discussion, and I don't want to get lost on. We were talking about black men, dark people, dark skin. Did Dr. Ben Yakinen not step up? Are we saying that John Henry Clark didn't step up?
No, see, you're missing what me and Renaissance is saying.
Are we saying Dr. Delbert Blair didn't step up?
But see, this is the thing. They stepped up. But listen, they stepped. But they stepped. But listen,
how can we forget about him?
But listen, this is what you got to understand. They stepped up, but they stepped up in literary terms, in literature, scholars, philosophers. They didn't step up into the political arena. They didn't put themselves at the forefront of the political agenda. They stepped up on a literature base, right? They became speakers of the knowledge and the information.
What happened when Malachi York stepped up politically? He funded Jesse Jackson. He funded the Al Sharptons. He was actually out here trying to create super PACs.
Well, Al never ran for office. Al never ran for office. I'm saying that he funded their movements. He went by a whole territory in Edenton in Georgia. And what happens when you do have people who try to pave those roads of stepping up? It be your own people
on top of white people that come shut you down. So it's not that there's no dark-skinned people that didn't step up. They are attacked on a whole nother level than a Barack Obama.
That's the point of this stream, brother. That's the point of the stream.
No, the only thing I was saying with the Kaepernick situation, my bad, Arthur. The only thing I was saying with the Kaepernick situation was just his peers. That's the only thing. People are his equivalent status. Now I agree. The same thing has happened to Obama. Look at how the black community has regarded him in his years as well. So I mean, I think the black community in general kind of turns on its leaders or leaves them out to dry.
Yeah, and the Kaepernick thing, just the fact that Kaepernick is the face of protesting the American flag is just goes to show the example, because Craig Hodges did that way before him.
Yeah, Craig
way
Hodges.
before him. Dark skin dude. Nobody even talks about Craig Hodges. They'll bring up Muhammad Abdul-Rahman.
We can go Chris Jackson. We can go Chris Jackson after Craig Hodges, right?
He was after
like we speak about Craig Hodges, but this is the thing, right? This is the thing. Craig Hodges was a full black man, so white society wasn't going to show him, right? Like Kaepernick is a symbolism. Kaepernick is in their minds one of them. So they're gonna try to have a conversation about what one of them did in comparison to a full black like Craig Hodges, because they can't compromise Craig Hodges. They wasn't gonna be able to compromise him like they did Kaepernick, because they compromised Kaepernick.
But was the media as big as well too? Because nobody knew what Kaepernick was doing until he had an interview. If he didn't have that interview, they wouldn't even known that he was protesting. Because that was when he was sitting down, and no one in the media asked him, "Hey, why are you sitting down?" And he said, "Hey, I'm protesting police brutality," and then he turned it into a knee. So I think part of it is you have to have the media that has to, like you said, Arthur, has to get behind you in a sense, or at least
right. They have to highlight what you're doing, right? Like, but when you know what I'm saying, and the thing is, they don't highlight when black people, ADOS people, step up and do things, right? Like, because that's what I'm saying. They don't want us to have examples of you, bro. They don't want us to have black men who are nurses. Like, what if you came on and told black men, what if I did a one-on-one with you and I'm like, bro, we ain't gonna talk about none politics. We gonna talk about your career, how you got there, what was the catalyst to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we need to do, right? That's the thing. Like, that's the thing that we counter all this other shit, because the thing is, we're going through this because we feel like our shit and what we are doing is not being put to the forefront, and or the biracial ideas are, or the alphabet community ideas are, right? But what we have to do is we have to highlight when people take on things that don't live up to stereotypes. Who's going to think a 6'5" black man is an RN, right? So you're killing all stereotypes. You're ripping that most wanted poster that got your face on it globally. You're ripping that down and ripping it to shreds because you're telling people, I'm not what they tell you I am. Right? I'm not a threat to your home. Right? So now in doing that, right, do I step back and make sure that I rock out like you and Psycho, and make sure that when I do become exceptional, I keep it all the way black, and I teach my kids that? Like, that's the gray area that I need you and Psycho to explain to me, or help me understand how you navigate that.
Psycho, you first.
Well, again, I always feel like people are going to be compromised to a certain degree. I feel like Obama never was going to have a true black agenda. He would never push for. Like, it didn't shock me that he wasn't for reparations, and he almost kind of snarked at it. Just the idea of it. Because he's not all the way 100% in, because he knows where he came from. He knows how he got here, so he's like, they are conscious of this. Even the people that you might think is the most pro-blackity black mixed person, they will eventually come out and let you know, if you listen to them long enough, that they're they understand there's the other side of them, and they understand how they got here, and they got some internal allegiance there. And I can't even say I'm not going to fault them for it. We just need to understand that is in them, and we need to. We need.
Yo, is that real though? Like, break that down to me, man. Is that real? Like, they really do have an eternal allegiance? You think? Like,
yeah.
Is that real?
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
Wow.
But Psycho, I was going to ask you on the Obama piece. Did black folks push him for something?
Yes,
they did.
Yes.
Who? What agenda? Who put together
are the black
agenda?
people that
I
push?
can speak for Chicago alone. Chicago held that man down in so many ways on the political front, on the imagery front. They welcomed that man. They pushed him. Let me not say it. Look,
Oh no, I meant pushed him as in like pushed him on. Hey, this is our agenda. Like we
yes,
want
I'm going to
this.
talk about that. I could remember when he was in Chicago when he was still a freshman senator. It would take people because he was a community activist, so he was well known on the South Side. It was a lot of people pushing for Obama to start allowing for more black business ownership. Now, I know in the Chicago region, they was pushing for him to do that. So that was the idea when he became president, that some of the things that was forced on him to kind of promote. Why did you get elected? And so you can bring jobs not just to Chicago, but to East St. Louis, to Springfield, to Joliet, to Kankakee. We need you to start giving black people business loans and start letting us run our own schools, start letting us run our own police departments. So when he became president, and he did do a good job in Chicago. So a lot of people were under the impression that now he's going to take what he did on a state level and take it federal. But when he got in, he did just the opposite. And adding to that, now that he's been out the office for 5 years, with the power that he has from being a former president, Obama is absent. He is nowhere to be found helping black people with anything. He's not being the voice of any black community anywhere with all that political and social clout. He is AWOL. He gone, which let us know that he came to fulfill an agenda that had nothing to do with black people. And we was just here to be used as punching bags to take all the blows, to give him all that support, get him in the office, and then he flipped the switch, and now he's out of there.
So you don't consider his work with like the Obama Foundation or anything like that, anything worthwhile?
It's ineffective. Even if he has a foundation, since he's been a former president, whatever he's tried to implement has been highly ineffective. He hasn't even come out vocally speaking on the different ills that we've had riots last year. Y'all, we got black people just turn shit up out of frustration, out of abject poverty, out of crime-infested neighborhoods. Obama never came out. You're not even a president no more, bro. He never came out and say, look, when you got people impoverished, when you got people who don't have drug rehabilitations, you don't have mental health facilities, when you don't have adequate housing, this is going to be the result. And at some point, America's going to have to deal with the race agenda. Obama went with Joe Biden and hid in their bunkers. He didn't do anything.
I disagree with all that, bro. I'm sorry. I disagree with all that. I think for me, I think that when people do that, I think that y'all really miss what federal law is, what state.
Bro?
Hold on.
He definitely talked.
Hold on. Let me get at this. He did a lot, man. He did a hell of a lot. Like as far as we could just go healthcare, we can go empowerment zones, we can go transportation bill. A lot of those things help people. See, this is what y'all got to understand, right? In order for a president to have effect in your local community has to reach up and grab the federal funds that are placed in legislation, right? Like, and then the local and state legislators have to create legislation to allow for these funds to be disseminated.
Now,
right?
AC, allow me to push back on just that one statement. So you telling me that these corrupted, Democratic-led cities, we're going to expect that these corrupt cities are going to somehow allow that money to be funneled to the people who need it the most.
They do it every day.
Their new mansions, their new yachts, and their new cars.
I mean, they take. I hear you. They take theirs off the top, but they do it every day. Like when you get federal infrastructure bills, right? The federal infrastructure bills come to the state legislators, right? They put in grants. They get the grants. They get the money, right? And then they come up with the project, and then the project is bidded on by contractors, right? And then the contractors hire.
Who gets those contracts?
Well, it's depending on how they're sanctioned, because you do have a lot now. What you guys got to understand, there's a lot of federal regulations right now that say a lot of these contracts have to have minority contractors to bid. Now, not to say that they're gonna get. It's almost like the Rooney Rule in football. Not to say that it's an equitable rule, but it's there. It's in place, right? So what?
Is it working?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Are there black contractors that are in the position to do the jobs that are there black contractor companies that are construction companies that can handle a $7 billion project?
This is my point. I got
right, hold on. Let me finish.
Let me do this. Don't go too far. I got friends that have been working as carpenters, as sheet metal workers, and plumbers. We are expecting people who have to work day to day to risk their entire homes and their families to go out and try to get a contract to go independent and compete with the very companies that they work for in that same community and society.
That's different. That's different. See, when you're talking about independent people like that, like, of course, they're not going to be able to compete because they're on a small scale. They're a micro company in comparison to competing with macro companies. But let me finish.
Arthur, you got set-asides out there, too.
I'm trying to finish. You won't let me finish. You won't let me get it all out. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. That was the point I was trying to make. There are now federal requirements. See, we veterans, right? I'm a disabled veteran. You a veteran, right? They have set-asides right now, D, where we are the only ones who can bid on contracts. Disabled, service-connected disabled vets are the only one that can bid on like $3 billion worth of federal government contracts. So there are set-asides where minority observed businesses that are recognized because they have two levels. Now they have the minority and they have the African-American, where it distinctly says an African-American owned business, right? And they have set-aside.
Do you think that those African Americans can have enough time, accessibility?
Yes, me and my man Jose do it every day.
Me and my man enough black people to actually be able to move that company to a more sustainable level. Because
they do every day. And the thing is that the federal government offer you help to do it.
When I think about the people who that I've saw try to run businesses like that, a lot of the people that end up working, they try to hire that are black or suffering from substance abuse.
Right. I mean, but that's a different conversation, though. That's a different conversation. That's about do these companies have the requisite workforce to go and be. But that's a different conversation. You asked me what did Obama. The conversation we're having now is about Obama. Hold on. The conversation we're having now is about Obama, what he did, what he didn't do. And my thing is, I'm just trying to establish the idea of the process. So when we always point to the federal leaders for not doing things in a macro leader doing things in micro spaces, we have to understand what that process is, right? Like we're saying,
if I can quote this is sum it up. And I know this as a student.
Bro, you gotta let me finish, bro. I'm with you, but you gotta let me. You killing my thought, though, bro. You killing my thought, though, bro. You can't. D, you cut me off. You killing my throat.
A sick people cannot heal themselves.
But bro, that's a different. You're conflating two different things, right? Like we can have that argument about the dysfunction that exists in our community that doesn't allow us to have functioning businesses because we don't have the requisite employee based on all the ills that we go through. We can have that separate conversation. I'm willing to do that because as a small business owner that does construction, landscaping, and hauling, I struggle mightily with keeping employees. Young people don't want to cut grass in the summer, and the junkies, they do it, but they're only doing it because they know at the end of the day I'm going to get them high with the pay, right? So I struggle with that. That's why I'm doing this as a release to not be stressed out about worrying about what my workforce is going to look like in 2 or 3 months. I have to rally troops when it snows. Right, I got 2 main guys, but when I'm doing all my properties, I need at least a 6-man crew. So I'm with you. We can definitely
respect you and work for no damn nigga. So I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So I clearly understand what you're saying. But my thing is when we put the onus on the federal leaders to deal with these micro problems, we're missing the boat because the micro problems exist because the legislation at a state level are not addressing it. At the state level, right? Like that's where it comes from. We have to understand that the federal government kind of stands off when it comes to state issues.
You're right about that. I'm not
you know what I'm saying? They kind of stand off and they wait for the states to reach out. So if you're in a state, if you're in a big urban city, but you're in a red state, your governor is not going to be apt to help your mayor fix your city. He's going to send those funds into areas that he can continue to build up. So that's all I'm saying. Like, I understand the critique that we may have of Obama, but we also have to start having a deep civic conversation about how the process works. Right? And if we understand how the process works, then we'll start putting the pressure on the people who really need to have the pressure on them. And that's our local state legislators in assemblies, because they're the ones who advocate and allot the money for local initiatives that will help me hire and fire and find better employees, right?
Or I was going to quickly say, Arthur, divert money away, because you said healthcare. Look at what all these red states did with Obamacare and Medicaid expansion. They were like, nah, we'll pass.
They cut it. They
rejected it. You got something that just rejected it. Said we're not even gonna.
It was like, no, we don't want the money, right? Yeah. And that goes all the way back to their original shit. States' rights, slavery. You know what I'm saying? Mistreatment of, and it's still, and that's why it exists. So when we have these micro problems within our communities that are not being addressed, so when we have the inability to have infrastructure to where small minority businesses can get the training on how to hire people, how to do their finances and things of that nature, that's something that a state legislator would have to do. They would have to create that small business empowerment zone that will allow for businesses to come in and learn how to get employees.
Right now.
That's my thing, and that's why they killed them. That's my point, bro. And that's why I can't watch those movies, because I'm like, damn, the succession of our success keeps getting wiped out for their survival. That's the whole point of this stream. The whole point of this stream was to point out that our shit and our fucked up shit that everybody in the black female fuckery and all that shit, all this shit is happening because they want to survive. And then we have black people bring them into space to be more parasitic off of us, because it's a parasitic relationship. They suck the blood out of us.
This is a parasite host relationship. As you was talking, that means that because those funds are not being appropriated, that they can claim those funds after so long, they're gonna come in and money that was set aside for the training, for teaching different people, for having your accounting and the tax breaks that come with it. So at the same time, I want to argue with you and say, no, AC, fuck that, you're wrong. I also know that, damn, you got to have structure. You got to have rules that everybody has to stick by. And regardless of our condition, at some point, you can't make no excuses. So, fuck.
You my man, though, bro. You my man.
Arthur, I was going to quickly add too. Under Trump, the thing is, when we were talking about contracts, you had a lot of bundling going on, so it was even harder for minorities. And the Black Business Association said this: it's even harder for minorities to get contracts now, because they're essentially bundling these contracts where you got to be this big firm that can afford to bid on all this instead of being that small firm that can work its way up.
Each preceding administration puts in the requisite shit to make their clan richer, right? And when Obama did it, we didn't have the understanding or the wherewithal to be in a position to solicit the funds for our own shit, because we didn't understand how the process works. So we thought by him being the titular head that somehow there would be a trickle down effect and we would get the resonance. I mean, we would get the fall down from his shit. And that's not true. See, people don't understand. The president doesn't set the legislation. The legislation is set by somebody either in the House or the Senate, and then they work with the
pays to have it pushed.
Right, and they work with the lobbyists. They work with the person, the negotiator. Like for Trump, it was Nick Mulvaney. Then it was the other guy, right?
People funding the bill.
Right. So they all sit down and they negotiate, and then the two people who funded the bill, who authored the bill, step to the forefront and take responsibility for the bill, and then the president signs it, and that's their coalition. So all the people who worked on the bill, all the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears on the bill, their groups are going to benefit from it. And that's what we have to understand about the process. We can chant and have pitchforks and say what Obama didn't do, but do you understand the process? Did you get into the political arena?
I still think that at some point we're going to have to deal with the black male image. We're going to be reluctant to work for somebody else that's black.
I got you.
do business on a bigger scale. You know, he gonna scam me out of my 20,000 that I saved, and now he wants to, he wants me to be a hard lender for his business and stuff like that. We gonna struggle with a young man who's still wild and out of control, and trying to get him to get business minded and come work. At some point, we have to do some soul searching. Gonna have to look in the mirror because
I'm going to build an organization with you, a Renaissance man and Psycho, and we're going to go out and we're going to get them right.
I've actually been looking into that with the guys.
we're going to get right. Like we're going to design and build and maintain something that will make that part of our shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's you know how we change the image of black men by going out there and being the change,
taking the risk.
Right, like being like, he said something very profound when they was trying to give him the money to like leave the country. He was like, "Why the fuck would I leave? Why would I leave?" Like friend, like they was trying to send him to Cuba and Algeria. He's like, "Why would I leave?" Right? And when he went to meet the gang dude, he was like, "Man, they killed Malcolm Martin." He was like, "We should be that honored that we die for our people. We should be that lucky." Right? And we don't see that as that, because what we see as luck and as success is living in the suburbs, having a bank account, right? That we don't have to struggle. We don't have to worry about somebody kicking in our door, this, that, and the third, right? Like I went to college to be a urban planner, right? And I wanted to build better black communities where people didn't have to run to the suburbs, because all my friends ran to the suburbs, and then I'm still stuck in the hood, and then they want me to drive to Winslow Township or drive the Hong Kong. No, I'm not driving way the fuck out there to see y'all. Y'all couldn't find a nice house around. My boy James got mad at me because I wouldn't drive 2 hours down the Jersey Turnpike to cut his grass.
I'm going through that right now.
To cut his grass. No, my brother mad at me because I won't ride an hour and a half to cut his grass. No, I'm not doing that. Y'all chose to live down there. Find people who do the services down there. I'm not mad. I'm glad y'all want to support me, but I'm not doing all that. So I went to college to think about ways to build black community that's sustainable. And the crazy part about it is, white people do it every day. They come in and they turn raggedy houses into duplexes, into a house that was $5,000 now is $200,000-$300,000. We don't do that.
Tear it down and build a new one on it.
We run. We haul, like me and my wife now, right? I got into some shit with the neighbors about the snow last week, right? So I had to pull the blinky out. I ain't pulled the blinky out since like 2007, 8. But he was on such bullshit. I'd be like, yo, listen, just because you see me coming in here with a family and I'm cordial every day, I'm on the other side of the tracks, my man. And then when he seen that, he was like, oh my God. He was talking crazy to me, right? When he seen the blinky and see how I get down, he called the cops. So my point is, I want to run too. But I also want to try to do something before I run. I want to at least attempt to, like my boys, that's why, like, yo, y'all, I'm going to have all my niggas that I ran with in the street, they all going to be on my show one day. Because, bro, we used to be homeless, man. We used to sleep on one couch, we used to sleep in one crib on 25 Spring Street. We used to be on the couch, all of us, or in the basement, right? Now, man, we got businesses. They own a transportation company. They got 4 buses, 3 motherfucking Cadillac trucks, 4 Lincolns. And we used to be in 1995, 6, 7, we was some struggling niggas hustling on the block. But before they left and before they went to the suburbs, they bought the block like Monopoly. On the same block we hustle every day, the same 3 blocks we hustle, they own a property on each one of them damn streets. They own 3 on one, 3 on another, 2 on another. I own one next to me and I own another one on the west end.
Yeah,
right?
My man used to do that, buy up and flip houses back like 20 years ago, up to actually all the way up to his death. He died 2015. And he owned 5 properties when he had passed away, but that's what he was doing for the longest time, because out here the properties were real cheap before gentrification came, and you can get property out here nickel to a dollar.
Hey Psycho, can you share with them, right? Psycho's from Newark, New Jersey. I'm sorry, should I did that, Psycho? Am I wrong for that?
You good.
All right, now D, Renaissance. Now, when people from other parts of Jersey, like Trenton, Pat, we go to Newark to shop because they had the preeminent like hood gear, right? You get the Gore-Tex, you get the Pele leathers. You know what I mean? If you ain't want to go to New York, you can just go to Newark and get comparable the same thing, right? So downtown Broad Street and all that used to be off the chain. Mad niggas, mad sisters, 5%ers, the Bloods, all kind of gangs, the Hebrew Israelites, all kind of shit. Go down there now.
Yeah, white people down there now.
Go down there now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they started the gentrification. Once the arena got here, the process was on. And yeah, so I feel everything you were saying. We definitely got to get into ownership. That's important. And yes, we gotta start supporting black businesses. Black businesses, we got to be patient with our people, right? Like, 'cause we don't have the same capital that the Europeans have, and we don't. Obviously, the price margins ain't going to be the same either because they're getting way better deals on their product than black people are. But we gotta just be patient, just keep supporting and understand what our situation is. But once we start getting conditioned to supporting our own and constantly, building more businesses, so we don't have to keep going to white people, because we're going to get giving some of our money to white people regardless. It's impossible to give all our money to black people, but we got to limit it as much as possible. Once we start getting conditioned right with that, then we can start getting more people that's more black bosses that can hire more black employees. Because I've made this, I spit this statistic before. Only 2% of black people actually work for other black people, and that's not good. So but we need more bosses so we can have more employees. So we gotta definitely get in that mindset. And my fault, family. I gotta get ready to go.
I'm about to end this too anyway, man, because I gotta get down here.
Same thing. I could go make this.
Hey, yo, man, I love y'all, man. This was wonderful, man. Let's all four of us ride around like the four horsemen and go kick other panels over and kick their furniture over and do Eddie Murphy, Rick James, and stomp on their goddamn furniture and shit. Let's do it. I really like to thank y'all brothers for showing up, man. Renaissance, Psycho. So if y'all want to get y'all last words, man, real quick, and then I'm gonna close on that, bro.
Let me go first. Just dope conversation, bro. I'm glad I finally caught you live. And I'm gonna continue to push back on things I disagree with. And when I feel as though that you've made an argument where I'm wrong, I'm gonna admit, you got me there. Fun conversation, man. And I'll think about some of the things you said, man. I'm gonna have to do some mirror time. It's the only way to deal with the whole black, white, who's black, who's right dynamic. I'm gonna be objective even toward myself and look at it and say, am I wrong? All right. Am I wrong? Do I have to reevaluate? Do I need to recalibrate? Y'all gentlemen have a great day.
You too. Appreciate it. And thanks for having me on, Arthur.
No doubt, Psycho.
I'll holler at you a little bit later. I gotta go prep for this show.
Y'all rocking today?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be in there. I'll definitely be in them. Roll up, coming through. Blunt those on deck. I'll be through. All right, bro. Peace.
Appreciate it. All right, how'd y'all later?
All right, Arthur. Hey, thanks for letting me come up. Always like, man, when you drop the link. I'll be listening in the clouds to your next show. Did you have one yesterday?
Nah. I was on RBR yesterday. I was rocking
okay.
crazy ass yesterday.
Oh, okay. No, I did hear you yesterday. Yeah, I couldn't come up yesterday because I actually went into the office, but I work from home for most days, so I'll either be in the clouds and I'll come up periodically.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Because I want you. I think me and you gonna rock out, man. I think it's gonna be me and you, brother. I think it's gonna be me and you, bro.
Glad to see the channels attracting trolls. That's a good thing. Even though attracting trolls you're attracting some attention. So I hope it continues to grow.
I appreciate that, bro. You have a great day, my brother.
All right, you too.
All right, peace. Yo, man, thanks everybody for showing up, man. This was a wonderful build, man. I got a lot out. You know what I'm saying? I brought some powerful brothers up. I don't know if y'all know Daniel, aka Action Potential, formerly known as Action Potential, but that's my brother Daniel out of the loop. I like to give mad love to him for coming through and making that conversation dynamic. I want to give a shout out to everybody that came through. Ty Dan, my girl Bismillah, my man KS, my man D, Educated Aries, formerly known as my best friend, big bro Joe Dub, KS, GMT. Great show last night, GMT. Great show last night, Miss FedEx. Mad love for you, Black Atheist. My man Mr. Rudd, my man Zadigu One. everybody that came through, man. The AC Star would love to thank y'all for coming through. Somebody blocked Sweet Pea. I don't know who did it, but God damn it, please unblock her. I really like to thank my man Rollo. Rollo, if you listening, I'm gonna hit you up today on Red Show. I send my email, man, and we can set that one-on-one up. I like to thank all y'all for showing up, man. This was a wonderful build. Yo, check out the Cash App. Yo, also, man, I got what's name, man. I got merch, man, on my Streamlabs. You can see the thing. I got merch, man. You ain't got a t-shirt, mug, or something, man. Just support so you can show the world the AC Star Morning Show, man. It's a nice little t-shirt with the logo on the front. Nice little mugs with the logo on the front. But I'd like to thank all y'all for showing up, man. This is the AC Star Morning Show on the AC Star Talk Radio Network, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I need y'all to do 3 things. I need y'all to stay in good position. I need y'all to stay in love with yourself. And I need y'all to be safe. Peace. I'm out.